What's up, chat? How are you doing tonight?
What? As I suspected, 32 flavors.
Hello, everyone. Looks like that worked out just in time since FNT just wrapped up. I know there'll be Doomcock going on, Cocktail Lounge going on, but thank you for dropping by on over here. Yeah, tonight we're going to talk about some comic stuff. We'll probably show off some toys. We'll talk about a certain retcon that word got around to me about in Spider-Man. Normally, I'm like, I would talk about something like this, but this is something that's at least worth the talk. And, of course, we're going to have a rare exception to talk about the momentous episode that was FNT tonight. So, that said, I'm going to bring in my fine gentleman here. First kicking off, Mr. Pablo of Geek Tropology and Midnight's Edge Espanol. What's up, dude?
Howdy how.
I love when you do that so much. I really do. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, man. Today I woke 3 hours straight. Busted my ankle. Kinda an interesting day. But I got the first book of Dune. I will start reading Dune. And also, I was supposed to get new shoes. I didn't.
And you didn't get the shoes, but you got the dude. We know Diego messaged me about it, saying that was good. So maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, man. And it was not a huge price. It was $15. The book is thicker than a Bible. Kind of a price. So I'm happy in that.
Wow, dude. For real. That's wow. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll have to, I see counting is dangerous. So again, okay, it looks like people have been talking about, so that's good. Awesome. We'll introduce other fine gentlemen here. We got the Egyptian god, another reoccurring member of this panel, Mr. Lord Thoth. What's up, buddy?
Hail everybody out there. Hail in the chat. And hail to Flava Flavs and Pablo. Good to be a part of it. I just want to do a quick shout out to my Canadian fellow citizens in the U.S. Open right now. Leila Fernandez, who's made the final, and Felix, who bowed out today in the semifinals. But we see some great Canadian tennis going on. So out there for all the sports ball fans.
Nice. Hey, dude, that's awesome. Glad to hear. Hey, go Canada, man. I respect that. Go Canada. Hell yeah. All right. And last but not least, for now, we may have a few others that might drop by. Mr. Benjamin Grimm from Clobbering Times.
It's Clobbering Times. What's up, buddies? Hey, Clobberers.
Hey.
Nicholas,
What's
a pleasure.
up, dude?
Thank you for being here. See, I'm so used to doing mine. I'm thankful for being with me tonight. It's just a habit, man. It's a reflex. But thank you for having me. How about that? Thank you for the invite, my friend.
It's all good. It's all good, my friend. How are you doing today?
Oh, okay, man. Just a hectic day trying to get videos done and things like that. And I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here with such astoundingly extraordinary gentlemen like the great Lord Thoth and the great Pablo. Good to see you fellers. And of course, you, Nick.
Yes, thank you.
Good to see you too.
Yes. So we got some human beings who already dropped on by. It's Courtney's Fellowship of the Oddballs. Hail. Coldera. Hail to you. D-Bud Martin.
D-Bud
lives.
D-Bud. Commenting is dangerous. What's up? Commenting is dangerous. Yes. So guys, obviously, I mean, we'll just get out of the way. Like tonight, obviously, was an FNT that was... That was
ages.
Yeah, it really was. Well, obviously that term was thrown around a lot, but after watching it actually play out, it truly felt like that. Like I remember when I watched the Geeks and Gamers stream about the announcement with Alex Jones. I'm like, I was like, this is gonna be really real. Like that's so weird that it's happening. It's just one of those like it sounds like it's kind of like when like a Marvel and DC crossover. Like there's no way this crossover is happening. It was a bizarre crossover, or better yet, it'd be like if like a Marvel and Dark Horse crossover, because Marvel and DC is more expected, but like if like Savage Dragon teamed up with like I don't know Hawkmaster, it's just so out there and weird and different, and the fact that happened,
well,
what's up?
a good geek analogy is you just brought it up. At the look, it may be passe to have a Marvel DC crossover now, but in 1976, when we started seeing the ads for the first one between Superman and Spider-Man, although there was a joint operation by Marvel and DC for the Wizard of Oz because they were fighting over the rights, that doesn't count. As far as crossover companies, we couldn't even wrap our brains around it. I mean, I could not. There's no way. They're never Superman and Spider-Man meeting. That's not possible. But when you talk about the quirkiness of it, then you go to the Batman Hulk team up. We've seen two superheroes, Superman and Spidey team ups. Now we're seeing Batman Hulk. That can't work, and yet strangely it did because it was a great. So there you go, the quirkiness of it, like you said.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought that up for comparison. It's just I would never thought Batman and Hulk would work. I've never read that, so that makes me want to read it just off of your word. That is such a weird idea, but yeah, it just shows you today how weird of a thing, because one guy talks about like global scale, obviously politics,
Right.
and the other guys talk about more Hollywood with some political slants here and there, but it's mostly Hollywood and what's going on in Hollywood. And just the crossover of that is just like, it really was. It felt like earth-shattering. Of course, there was a big record. I think it was like 16,700 people. Lord Doc, do you know the number?
Oh, not right offhand.
I know it's like at the least 16,500 at the least. Maybe it could have gone 700 or 800. I can't remember. It maybe even hit 17 at one point. But yeah, that number was huge. But boy, I thought I've seen a lot of panels with Mr. Jones, and yet somehow he still somehow manages to surprise.
I know we were laughing at around 14K, and we kept doing the countdown in the Twitter feed for all the mod Roddics, and it was like, wow, that's like, we kept going, and it was like tick, tick, tick. Everybody was like 12K, 12.5. Yeah, it was unbelievable. I have to say this, that was one of the best live streams I've ever seen on YouTube. It was just chaos, and the chat was on fire. It was just wow. I think I can sleep for a week now because it was just like. And I saw you, Flavor Flav's, doing, hey, check out this guy. Hey, have you noticed this guy? And I'm like, yeah. We're watching.
Yeah.
It's like you wanted to be a mod there.
I might as well be a wrench, because like I was helping you guys look out for them. I'm like, oh, these people are on full force tonight.
Absolutely.
Because, I was like, hey, Richard, hey, thought, there he is. Get him! Everyone dogpile him now!
That was awesome.
So, oh no, dude. Oh man, like I remember, like I saw like some like, I don't want to put words in Gary or Jeremy's like mouth, but there were some parts where I could tell they definitely looked like oh no, like
yeah.
We were kind of saying that in the background too, on Twitter. We were like, did he just say that? It was and whether or not I agree with everything that was said, which is obvious that I don't, but I also appreciate someone's opportunity to speak their mind. It's a free country. It's free countries in plural. We're all talking from Western culture, especially, where we're all free to speak our minds. At least I would hope we still are. And that's what's so awesome about it. And I think that side of the aisle has not had an opportunity to really speak out because they've been shouted down. They've been canceled. Cancel culture is out for those kind of guys and gals out there. And it's just great that we have an opportunity to get on YouTube to talk the way we want to talk. And everybody in the panel, now, I can tell you right now that out of all the people on the panel, that there's no two people that agree 100% on everything. And that's what makes it so awesome, that we get an opportunity to talk in a forum that we all have our opinions, but yet we're not going to try to cancel each other. We're not going to hate each other because of what we think or feel. And that's what's so important. And that's what Gary brings to the table here. And that's why Nerdrotic is so important to our culture right now. And whether or not you agree or disagree with him, at least he's a voice. He speaks his mind, just like you, Flavor Flavs, Klobby, Pablo, like everybody here. And those in the chat, it's the same thing. We speak our mind, and you know what? You're still going to be my friend 5 minutes later, no matter
Oh,
what you
yeah.
say.
Yes.
And that's a mutual feeling, dude. That
Well
the feelings
said.
are 800% mutual. I mean, we're not gonna see eye to eye and everything. You know, it's funny because I've seen accusations come over the years to like Midnight's Edge, for example. I'm like, are you guys just watching selectively? I've watched several Midnight's Edge episodes where those guys have clashed. Several.
Sure.
Dude, one.
Several of them. Like I'm like, which ones are you watching? Because
Yep.
they clash all the freaking time. Oh, hold up. I see. I had to mention two honorable human beings here. Mr. MVP himself says, "Hail to my fair comment panel on YouTube," and of course the awesomely great Miss Raquel Briggs. Hello, Raquel. Thank you for dropping
Yeah.
by.
Hey, number one.
I
Love
know
you,
that.
number one.
Okay, anyone can really. There's people who do all the time, and and that's fine. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, what's it called? Cold Era. You know me and Matt from Fall Ball. We clash all the time, but you know what? We'll clash, but 5 minutes later, if we're together in person, we'll still go and have a drink. I mean, if you saw
Mhm.
him and I clashed on the Suicide Squad on the cocktail lounge, and a week later, we were in Vegas, being the last ones drinking every night. And you know what? That's just how it is. Like you
Mhm.
could, I sometimes it's good when you have a very intense heated discussion. You can truly be yourselves to each other, and what's it called? Being yourself, it makes that friendship that much closer together. And me and Matt can have that conversation to that level that not everyone always can. And I cherish that, and much love and respect to Mr. Matt from Foul Ball Productions. I'm looking to hopefully be back with him probably next week or so on the cocktail, because obviously a great show, and that's basically going to bar with those guys. Yeah, and that's not the only thing we've clashed on, dude. Matt is my, as far as YouTube go, he's my guy I clash with. He's that guy. He's that guy for me. We all have
Just
our
a quick,
thread.
just a quick shout out. You guys got to shout out the most beautiful blue princess Raquel Briggs. So I just wanted to say hi to love you. I love your
Hello.
Saturday nights. You and Claudia are awesome, and Hale. And I
Thank
didn't
you.
get a chance to because I was being polite. So just hail to everybody in the chat. Hail to Raquel. New Bomb Turk. Hail. Hey, it's good to see
New
you.
Bob Turk, Crucible, Big Pig
Cold
Daddy. Welcome, guys. So, all right, I'm gonna let Pablo. I want to hear your thoughts, reaction, your everything to Alex Jones on FNT. What was everything about? What was your like state of mind? Like just seeing it all play out. I want to hear everything. Unload, my friend.
Okay, I didn't think he will go to the extent he went actually, but I know exactly the reason why he started with those topics with this crew and the people that were watching, because it's something that is really relevant. You know, culture is really important. Culture can change completely the mindset of people, and when you have it basically hostage of a single ideology, you cannot progress art, you cannot create something new, culture cannot evolve, and it's exactly what we are seeing. Culture is not evolving, is forced into submission in a way. You know, normal trends are being completely destroyed. You see a meme starting to get traction, and YouTube decides we don't want it, Twitter decides we don't want it, and the meme disappears. That is an effect on human psyche. So it's really important that people are actually watching, not only seeing idly the content, but watching what they are having on screen and making decisions on that. And having Alex Jones directly pointing, and yes, these people want this. And sorry, if you don't know, I grew with those people. I grew with what you will call globalist.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I had people in the government of my country,
Yeah.
okay, that I will eat every single day and I will have disagreements every single day. They are my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I have heard opinions about overpopulation and the solution. I have heard opinions about how to control the economic means. I
Mm-hmm.
have disagreed a lot of times, but it's something that has come in the table sometimes in conversations. And is real. That part is real. They are angry about overuse of resources. They are angry about how people behave themselves. They think everybody is a low life. If you don't have enough money, you don't have enough knowledge, and you are not part really of society. You should be in the slums. That I have seen, and I come from a country that actually had socialism, actually had communism, and we have seen those kind of things. And what I saw yesterday on TV, on the internet, the president of the United States saying things that presidents of my country said before getting people killed. So I have seen that.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about.
I hear you.
Um, and culture is really important. Just to say, I have an injury. I cannot really walk, and I decide to go in a mall to buy a book because the book is more important than the pain. And that's all the time. If you see, people will sacrifice hours of sleep to finish a series or to finish a book or to finish a comic book. They will go to their jobs without sleep because they wanted to finish something because it was so incredible. They will endure pain, they will endure sadness because they want to have that. They want to enrich their souls, and that's what we are missing, that enrichment. And I want it back because I have a son, and I want my son to have heroes. I want my son to have smiles. I don't want this world that sucks. Right, when I was a kid, even when I was seeing things that were not supposed to be on my age range, like Blade, I was enjoying Blade. I was enjoying the hell out of Blade. I was enjoying the hell out of the Hitman games when I was a kid. Who cares? I had a smile, and I want that smile on my kid's face. I don't want this.
Wow.
So, well
no,
said, buddy.
dude. Wow. No. That's wow. I'm sorry. I'm at a loss for words. Yeah, we are lacking the heroes. We really are. I'm glad you went to that route. Once again, part of this random detour for our panel, but you're right. We are lacking though. It's nice when you I know you want to have your son live with heroes, and hopefully we can get to a point in life where we can have entertainment where it's actually just that. We're lacking in that, and it's seriously like it's low the amount of characters that we have, because nowadays it's all subverted. Heroes are villains are heroes, and it's God, that's why anything that comes out, even not just because it's good, because it's not filled with identity politics, but just because it's good in general, it's that much more relieving, because once again, it's so few and far between. Because I'm still not one to sell for member bears. Like when me and Quarter Black Garrett, we did our panel on Primal from Gendy Tartakovsky last week on his channel. Yeah, we did a panel on his channel. Him and I
still need to get through that.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
on
so
the third.
good.
I'm on the third episode. It's really good.
It's so good, dude. Oh, Lord Thoth, I can't wait till you watch it. So you guys gotta finish it. I will. Seriously, it's so good, and you could thank Quarter Black Gear for why I watched it, because him and I were having cigars in Vegas, drinking alcohol.
What kind of cigars? Sorry, I'm sidetracking. I'm sorry.
Oh God, I don't know what the brandy was, but I know.
Dude, how do you have drinks? You have a glass of brandy and you get
Here's
a nice...
what happened.
That's a whole other stream, by the way.
I'll have to ask Quarter Black, because he bought the cigars. I think they cost like $30-$40 each. So he's just like, "Hey, you want a cigar?" I was just like,
if you're gonna do a cigar, you gotta spend some dough on it.
Oh, he spent some dough.
You have to pick the right drink too. You can't cheap out on it. You gotta.
Of course. Like, once again, me and Matt, we clash, and I will argue till death with Matt. But it's because I will clash with Matt till death. I will buy him that awesome $30 insanely gigantic daiquiri at the same time. But yet 5 minutes later, I'll be like, I hate that you like this movie. That's just that's the way a good friendship works. Well, you can tell them that you hate that their crappy movie opinion, but you'll still buy them that amazingly fancy drink. That's good friendship. That's all it is. We're still friends.
Sounds like true love to me.
Right? It's just, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. It really is a cold era.
Yeah.
32 tobacco flavors of Nick Weiser. Yeah, and hey, I'm gonna drink that right now. First drink tonight, and I got my Metallica. You know what? I'll zoom in on that. The Kill 'Em All cup.
Nice.
Yeah, you got the track listing too. Hit the lights. Yeah, classic album. All right, so for me, watching this, as I mentioned over, it was like a very weird, bizarre crossover that just like was just like, how is this real? And Alex going into the places that he went to, like it was just like I'm processing all this information. Like he kind of keeps going like the way like Razor Fist does, where he just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going with knowledge and like and opinions. Sometimes facts, sometimes opinion. He just keeps going. You think like you're just like, and like it's like, is he gonna like? It's just because he just comes at you like. I just like I have like background DMX going, X gonna give it to you as to me X is Alex Jones, like with all that information. And I love how he complimented Az, like, you're a very handsome guy.
Yeah. Well, they kind of look alike. So.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that's probably why, because they kind of look like each other. So like when I heard that, like Az looks so. Az was blushing.
Yeah, he did.
I saw that, and I remember. I think it was comics. He had like Alex entered directly a question directly to comics and like, oh, I'm sorry, that was really rude of me. I was like, Alex Jones saying that's rude.
Something really, really important here is we know for a fact that both people on one side of the aisle, the people on Hollywood, are watching us. They are watching Minas Edge, they are watching Friday Night Lights, they are watching Doomcock, they are actively watching us. But people on the other side has been watching us and they are interested. So Alex Jones actually said that he has been watching the show for at least 2 years and he has an interest on this. So both aisles have their eyes on us. What we are doing have some effect. I don't know if it's a huge effect, but it has, and both sides want to know what's going on. That's interesting.
Okay, so I gotta mention Joe Kicks Ass 428. I found you through Quarter Block Garrett. Great job, bro. Hey, dude, thank you for subbing and thank you for coming back on. I had a blast talking with Quarter Block. He's become a friend of mine. I'm proud to say that. Happy to say that, and him and I will team up again. Obviously, whenever Primal Season 2 hits, I'm looking forward to getting him back on Toxic Tuesday. I gotta talk with him. I've got a few movies I got in mind for. I try to make sure I want to do what fits the personality. So Garrett and I will be teaming up more in the future, and it's going to be glorious. So bet on that, my friend. And yeah,
excellent.
Kill 'Em All is the best Metallica album. I agree, and I love the ones after, like a few of them. But Kill 'Em All is the best one. That's just how the cookie crumbles. And the Gilkman, hail Gilkman, what's up, dude? How you doing? Thanks for dropping by. So okay, so I pretty much heard, I think, a good amount of information from our Egyptian god on his thoughts of Alex Jones's appearance. What was it like being a mod? Like, was there were there parts where it was like a lot to keep up with, or was there people who were worse than others? What was it like modding and all this craziness, like keeping up with all the comments? It felt like I'm like, I hope they have all the mods on decks. I even texted Eric K. I'm like, is this all mods on deck type of night?
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, actually he sent it out. We got the Twitter messages. You know what? Hail to Eric K. Man, he's so steady. Yeah, it's unbelievable how great he is in the chat. And I say that not just to how we like to puff up each other's ego sometimes on these, but I want to say that straight up.
He's amazing,
Eric K, man. He's amazing. He X-Ray Girl. Lady Gravemaster too was a big part of that. Bastard. There are a bunch of the great guys like Draco and Avon lives. Long live the Legion. To Problem Being.
Yes.
These guys, man. I tell you. We had a Bionic Belly Button. I know I'm going to miss a bunch of people, so I apologize to them all now. But we had all hands on deck tonight, And I tell you what, especially at the beginning of the night, the first probably hour before Gary, who was fashionably late, before he actually jumped on. It's funny because he pushed his live stream ahead an hour, so that if it's 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. He pushed it ahead, and he was still an hour late. But anyway, I love Gary. He's awesome.
Oh, we all do. It's
Well,
just
we all
really
give him a
funny.
hard time for that, right?
Yeah.
And but let me tell you, we were good to go right from the beginning, and there was a lot of trolls at the beginning, but once we actually gave them a little bit more rope to hang themselves with too than we normally did, because we all kind of chatted in the Twitter feed there, where we're like, okay, let's go a little easy on them. It's going to be an emotional night. Let's give them a chance to just, get their emotions out there. They're going to do it. So we gave them a little bit more, but once things started going, we started to deal with the trolls. But it was fun, because a lot of the chat too was like, dude, like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, like, what are you saying? like you're an idiot kind of thing, right? And we were just listening to watching the chat, and that's like 80% of the show, in my opinion, is all the great people in the chat really make the show. Absolutely, you've got the guys who are there talking and kavitzing and go back and forth, and the comments is just awesome. But yeah, the mods, it's a thankless job in a lot of cases, but I've noticed that a lot of us within our fellowship have all been really good at giving a shout out. Like Ironcaster's in the chat right now. He's a mod. And all the people who have those little blue wrenches, they really do a thankless job. It seems like, if people want to be mods, and then I go, well, do you really want to be a mod? all the guys in the live stream tonight were just a hopping. Jennifer Cisco she was spot on. Like, all these great mods in Gary's channel, and all the other ones too. Doomcox, Jeremy, Odin, all those guys. They have great mods, and they're not the same mods either. And Clobby and Flavor Flavs, Pablo, you know that, and it's good. It's good to pick your team and go with them, because they're really there to support your channel, and they don't get any recompense. Most of the time they don't get any acknowledgement, but I know you guys are very great for saying, hey, great job, Chris Persia, great job, Eric K, great job, Ironcaster, great job, whoever's out there doing the mod jobs. And so, I really appreciate that, doing a little shout out to the guys and gals who are doing the hard work.
At least we could do.
It was a lot of fun tonight. It was pretty hectic. It was go. You're like, okay, do I just time him out for a little bit, or do I like kick him out, or like it was like, well, okay, he's spamming the chat a bit, but what he's saying is just another opinion, and so it can be challenging sometime, and sure. That's what I say. There's been a couple of people who've come to me and said, hey, Lower Thoth, LT, what do you think about being a mod? Like, what does it take to be a mod? And I'm like, you know what? You love the chat. You love having a good time. You appreciate everybody's opinion out there. You take the time to think about whether or not you have to do what you have to do, but sometimes you have to bring the hammer down. But I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you very much. I kind of gone on a little bit long here, but I just think that it's one of those occupations out there for all the thankless mods out there in the chat. I salute you. Hail.
Dude,
absolutely, mods.
Being a mod requires cojones, and you have all of them.
Yeah, all right. No, I
big
want
cojones.
I would like, I do it for Comics Division when we do Yelling Apart Cars. I do it for him, and that's the only time I ever have to do it, because like I like to do it more to help out other channels, but it's just like I can't commit to something like FNT, but. Because usually FNT, I'm usually hanging out with my family, and I usually catch the replay in the morning on my way to work, during work, after work. But tonight, I'm like, I have to catch Alex Jones live. Sure. I was like, I have to catch this one. If there's a time where I gotta like also be on the lookout for the crazies, tonight was the one. And I was like, no, I'm not a mod, but I will gladly point it out. So I was like,
Oh
Don't
yeah,
have
man.
at it with it. And,
It's very much appreciated, actually. We really appreciate that.
oh, of course.
Especially
Well-
for the trusted
Yeah.
members of our chat.
Well, that's the big league right there too, man. Because I bond for Polly, but man, sometimes there's a couple of us, but when you're getting thousands of people in there, Toth, I mean, I know there's a bunch of you, but still,
Yeah, it's
another
like
level. I mean,
16K or 17K
Whew.
tonight. Like, whew. And it
Yeah.
flies. Even when you have slow mode on, you're sitting there and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I want to enjoy. It's funny because I want to enjoy the live stream too. Like a large
Right.
percentage of the reason why I'm there is to enjoy the live stream. But you're
Right.
sitting there and it's flying by, and you got probably and like, oh, I got him, or you've got like Jennifer, or you've got Eric K, or like these guys are like boom, 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 and like they're fast. And it's funny sometimes we like walk over each other because we're all trying to nuke this troll at the same time, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you beat me to it. So it's a little bit of a competition too, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And 99.99% of the chat are great, having a good time, and just there to have fun. But you've got that 0.1% who are just awful, and they're trolls, and they're just there to cause chaos. And so we try to do our best to make it fun for that 99% that really just are there to have fun. And that's why we do it, because we love it.
Mark, dude, this
I wanna.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to like
Yeah.
I have my
Still might
my-
happen.
It might. I'm just imagine it went all the way like to the end. Is the shot? It might. There's a possibility. At least I can say I caught it live, and heard the majority of it. It's just like my brother who's in the military. Like he knows who Nerdrotic is. He goes to like him and Young Ripoff. He wants to know about comic book stuff because he's a bit more normie-ish. And I have another brother who's in law, who's actually a big fan of Viva and Barnes, actually. So he got to he was like, and my brother is actually working on becoming a lawyer himself. So, and he obviously, so because of that, he knows that, Barnes is Alex Jones's lawyer. He's like, hey, I hear Nerdrotic and Alex Jones, that's gonna be a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, you should catch them. Like you like them. And he watched it, and he doesn't usually watch like FNT, but he watched the nights, and he said he liked all the guys on the panel, and he said like, this was an incredible show. He was like blown away from it. He's like, this is insane. Like he was already familiar with Alex Jones. That he ended up liking all the other guys too, like Odin, Comics Division, like RK Outpost. Like he was a really big fan of what he saw out of the panel. So it's once again, it shows you like new faces were being not just exposed to obviously Alex Jones, but to the FNT guys. A lot of new eyes were on this thing. A lot of new eyes were on all these personalities, like people who have never heard of, Jeremy, D-Day Cobra, Geeks and Gamers. And I think Ironcaster had a comment above right here. Yeah, I was able to use AJ's appearance at FNT to introduce the show to some people who are Alex Jones fans, but never came over before to check out the boys. Yeah, see? That was just, it works out for everybody. And it seemed like he had a fun time too, and it seems like he wants to collaborate with them again. What was shocking for me is when he said he was already aware of some of the guys on there. I was just like, whoa, what? I was like, he's aware. He's paying attention to the little channels? Okay, cool.
Gary isn't really a little channel anymore. I think that
He's
there's a
starting
lot
not
of
to be a little
Hollywood.
channel anymore.
Yeah, a lot of Hollywood knows Gary and the fellowship that are connected to him. I think that there's a lot of pushback that's been coming from Gary and the crew. There's been a lot of talk in Hollywood. There is no doubt in my mind that they know who the main pushers and shovers are in this community. And for a very good reason, because we're that demographic that they don't like right now. They're that demographic that is the one who spent the last 50 years spending our hard-earned money loving these properties. Star Trek, Star Wars, comic books, Superman, Batman, Wolverine, the X-Men, Fantastic Four. We're the ones who really built these properties to where they are today. They don't want us anymore because they want their own thumbprints on this. They want their own interpretation of the Fantastic Four. They want their own way to push Superman. You know, it's been awful the last few years because they want us gone, and Gary is pushing back. And hail to him, and hail to the team, and hail to you, Flava Flavs, Clobby, Pablo. I mean, the Ironcaster, Mark D with a C. We're the ones that they don't want to love these properties anymore because we're the old school. But let me tell you what. We're not going to go quietly into that good night. We're going to rage against the dying of the light.
No, I hear that, man. I hear that loud and clear. I agree. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you mentioned that because since I started doing a show like Toxic Tuesday, I had mentioned Clawby's Global Geeking yesterday. For me to talk about these not as fun subjects, it's become a lot easier because I have such an awesome palate cleanser like Toxic Tuesday, and of course, Friday Night Comic Shop talk with you guys. I feel like when I go on other panels to be on like Yelling at Park Cars, for example, talk about that stuff is so much easier because I have a palate cleanser now, so I can enjoy something, and also then I can have something to vent with. So, because if I just vent all day, like that could add up in a man, and then when that adds up in a man, you know it could drive you nuts when you're just talking about all day panel to panel to panel to panel. So, doing Toxic Tuesday and Comic Shop Talk with you guys has balanced my life out majestically. And I had to emphasize the word majestically because now when I go on to subjects like on Yelling, I'm all guns blazing. I'm ready. I'm fired up. And I get to sing my piece on those things and try to bring my best side of the conversation to the table. And it's important. I do understand these conversations do need to be had. I just can't have them 24/7, but I do know when I'm in there, I'm going to give them my all when I do show up for that conversation.
Let's say we need a safe haven from the conversation because out of late it has been everywhere.
Yeah, you're right, Pablo. I will say this, that the Tuesday night and the Thursday nights and stuff, you guys, I mean, it's after 10 o'clock Eastern and I'm up at 5 a.m. Eastern. So it's a little late for me. I have to catch the bad guys. I've been up on the last week and things have been pretty challenging catching the big bad guys, but I love watching your shows. While I'm writing up my reports, they're going on in the background, and then I'll pause and I'll go back and it's funny. I talk to my my monitor a lot, and I have the crew or whatever. Like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm screaming at the screen because Clobbering Time's on here, or Doomcock is ranting, or Gary's going off about Star Trek, or what a great stream was today that I watched. Shout out Kapla to Bird of Prey 5 because he did this little preview about Star Trek Brave New What the F and I was watching that and I was as upset as he was about that travesty that's coming. Worlds? And I know Clobby and I talked about it earlier, but I'm sure that people were ready to put the sleeveless jacket on me today because I was barking at my monitor. But
Strangled New Worlds. It's a piece. It's going to be a horrible piece.
It's going to be horrible.
Yes.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that I do watch the shows, and I love comics. I love Comics Division's channel, and you too, Flava Flavs, and I love those Tuesday night shows. And I must say that, come on, like Jack Burton. I mean,
Jack
you
Burton,
go no wrong?
Me. One thing old Jack Burton says at a time like this. Who? Jack Burton. Man, listen, that movie's so quotable. Like,
I know, right?
You're not pulling this well to get it, Mr. Burton. I love that movie.
Oh, this Cop Coming Tuesday is gonna be like extra toxic. Like Big Trouble in Little China. Like you got Kurt Russell, you got the guns. Like this is gonna be an off the chain panel. Like I can't wait to talk about it. And like I got that 70s rock fan who actually took off work from his very serious job, might I add, so he can be on Toxic Tuesday. So I was like, well, I'm going to have you on for this one. So you're in. And I've got a few people who I've got in contact with, or I'm trying to get in contact with, so I can try to get on some future panels so we can, talk about these awesome things, because it's easy to forget about these awesome things when we've been living in such a loop of all this craziness the last 5 to 10 years. So it's like, oh, hey guys, don't forget we had this. Let's reflect on that. And of course, then when something comes out that's cool, me and a guy like Garrett, we'll link up and we'll talk about, hey guys, check this out. Oh, and the critical drinker, actually gave Invincible the recommend. Would you believe that?
Yeah,
He
he
actually
did.
gave
I
the
saw
recommend.
That was a great stream, by the way. That his video was very good.
Drinker's great. Yeah.
Oh, I know, right?
And as a true Scotsman, I can empathize with his accent.
Of course you can. I love it.
I'll drink to that.
Oh, I'm going to do it right now.
Hooah!
I got this Tennessee Sour Mash Bourbon Whiskey on hand, all hand on deck tonight for me. So that with my Kill 'Em All glass, I'm gonna douse in a little bit of Coke because
that was my next question.
cola.
I was going to say, are you a purist or are you a little sugar? You got to add the little Coke, or you got do you do it with the stones? You whisk it so you can get like the Scotch. You know what you can get is you can get the stones that you put in the freezer, and instead of adding water, so when you add ice cubes, instead of adding water to your drink, so it waters it down, you add the cold stones. It adds a little chill to it. Do you know what? Have you ever seen those?
I know of those. Now, to answer your question properly, I have various moods. There are times where I will douse a little Coca-Cola, and then there are times where I'll just have it on the rocks, or I'll do whiskey stones. It just varies on the mood. It also depends on my level of ambition.
Yeah.
It also depends on if I'm on yelling at parked cars and there's a panel that's driving me nuts. I'm like, and there'll be times where I set a panel. I thought I was gonna stay clean tonight, and then something happens.
Gotta have a triple. Gotta have a triple.
And then I gotta double down so I can just do this. I'm like, oh, comics! I thought I was gonna stay clean tonight, and
I'm more a Pepsi than Coke, and I'll have a whiskey and Pepsi more so than a whiskey and Coke.
So you guys do what Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies does, aka the song "Institutionalized," where he utilizes the lyrics. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Just a Pepsi, and she wouldn't give it to me.
When I used to play hockey back in the old days, yes, I was a hockey player. Played for my university team and everything. I actually played for the RCMP charity hockey team when we used to play the old timers. So played against Steve Chutt, Bunny the Rock, Marcel Dion, those guys. I played against them, and they made me look pretty bad. Yes, but after every game, see, I never used to drink as a young man, so I used to have to have a Pepsi after a hockey game, and boy, I tell you, it's better than sex.
Oh my god! When LT is saying that, so just to make Raquel happy,
No Pepsi.
She knows. There, just for you, okay, just for you.
Hey, number one.
There, see, there you go. I had the hat right over to the side, but now since she knows, I have to. So, Crucible here after the Amazon series, I binges the entire comic series. Wow, he binged the entire series, dude. That's insane dedication, man. Hey, Crucible, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
It was a good comic for a long time. It's been a long time since I've read it, but yeah.
I actually finally just started reading the actual book myself. I never actually read it before. I did buy the first two trades because the first trade is Corey Walker on the pencils, and then it is Ryan Otley after.
Yep.
And I actually really like Otley better. I like Corey, but I think Otley's better.
I think so too.
I think Otley I feel like his style just suits the book better. And I feel like, especially, I can't remember the colors he's got, but I feel like he suits the story more. And I love how colorful his book looks. I love that aspect to it. And what's it called? Before I go too deep into it, I saw a kid in issue 2 of the first trade wearing a Slayer shirt. So of course I'm like, yes, of course,
man.
Now, of course that happened.
You will love Latin America. You
Oh, I
are
bet.
walking by the street
I hear the
and you see
metalheads are
the
crazy in Latin America. I hear they're off
yeah.
the chain crazy.
Yeah, man, I know a lot of good shirt stores, really good, really good quality, and the designs are amazing. But also, you are walking by the street and you will see Cannibal Corpse, you will see Napalm Death. You know, it's just amazing knowing that at least in my city, I can go and meet a metalhead almost everywhere.
Oh, I
And
believe it.
today I was walking around and I see a shirt with Eddie, and I'm like, yeah, I want to hear some Iron Maiden. And then I see someone going with full Napalm Death, and I was like, God damn it, I miss it so much knowing that at least there's good taste in music around.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know I know Megadeth once again I know
Yep.
Raquel will know about Megadeth have a big fan base. I would actually argue a bigger fan base, especially nowadays in Latin America, and and they are huge in Latin America. They play arenas like out here. They play
Yes.
they play in America like in '92 they play like arenas, but nowadays it's more like venues are 3 to 5 thousand. But in like Latin America, they're doing 10, 20, 30,000 down that way. They are huge. And not only are they playing to those big venues down in Latin America, they're not just singing the lyrics to the songs in Latin America. Latin America fans, they sing the riff to the song. Sometimes they even
Yep.
sing the solos. You don't get that up here in North America. So my respects to Latin America
Dude.
for doing what we don't do, because that is insane and that's dedication and Godzillionaire, Sepultura, Brazil.
Yes.
I'm actually my next metal album, I'll be doing a whole retrospective on because I did one on Black Breath 6 months ago. Will be on a Sepultura album. It will be the album Beneath the Remains. So I will probably have that up in the next 3 to 4 months because I'm doing deep dive research. Also, fellow hello to T-shirt historian, and then
T-shirt.
oh Raquel, right. We need to go pick up the fams to go just once. Right, Raquel? Like seriously, I don't know if Latin America could survive us, but
Dude, and the
let's
mosh
go
pits
for it.
here. If you enter a mosh pit, I have seen the mosh pits on the United States in the concerts and everything, and I'm like, you will die here. You will really die here. You see one of these mosh pits, and you see the shirts flying. You see almost body parts flying. I have been kicked in the ear.
Wow.
I'm tall. I'm actually quite tall for my country. I have been kicked in the ear in a mosh pit. It's just amazing. People get so excited and they start to just avoid the center.
All right.
If
Well,
you get to the center,
since we're here, we're going down the rabbit hole. Yeah, some guys whoever is in the chat that watched my unboxing video.
ooh,
Here, I'll just for you guys.
Oh, India Mike,
Oh man,
Iron Maiden.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much was it, man?
Oh, dude, this costs so
Wow.
much money. Look at that! Look at that! Oh my god, dude! Like,
Wow.
just the fact that this giant thing. And look, you got the
Mm-hmm.
printed too. Like, you got the whole senjutsu print. Like, dude, this thing is beautiful to look at. Oh, I'll take this off for you guys. So I guess I get to do unboxing number 2 for you guys. So I did 2 unboxings now, dude. Look at that
Dude.
print.
You know, the Iron Maiden concert is the best I have ever been, and I saw Eddie fapping in the middle of the stage, and it was a 10-meter Eddie, a robotic Eddie fapping in the middle of the stage. It was amazing.
For me, it was the Eagles. I'm sorry, the
No, no,
Eagles in Buffalo,
Chevy.
New York. I got to see.
Ooh.
I got to
Yeah.
see the whole crew while they were all still alive. It was my wife gave it to me as our anniversary present a few years ago, and several years ago now. And wow, the Eagles live was just wow.
I hate the Eagles.
Man.
Oh, I was talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, not the band. Sorry.
I hate the Philadelphia Eagles too.
Yeah,
No.
who doesn't?
Dude,
Sorry,
you
Eagles
know
fan.
that scene? You know that scene on the Big Lebowski when
The Big Lebowski.
yeah, the dude goes, "Can you turn the volume down?" And the taxi driver, why? I hate the Eagles. The taxi drivers get out of the taxi to get him out.
All right, what's
I
up,
hate
Dirk
the football team.
Longwell? Yeah, I obviously I got Godzillionaire and Golgo 13 Anime 101. Yeah, dude, no, dude, it was absolutely worth investing $130. Obviously, there's more. I just gave you just like a gist of an idea. There's this thing I still gotta make that's like an origami thing that came with it. So I'll probably make that tomorrow. And I've been absorbing the seed. I'll probably have my review out Sunday or Monday for that. And yeah, I love having cool artwork, and the fact that we got this whole like samurai theme was like way cool because it's like I love how 17 albums in, a band will still put that much love into the packaging. They're at a point where they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that, but they
But
still
they
do
do.
that, and I respect that aspect because God, it's such a lost art form. Like nowadays, like don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, it comes down to the music. But when there's cool art, it's one of those things. Kind of like with comic book. When there's a awesome story, cool. But the art is just like I love art and art, comics, music. It just adds so much to it. It really does, and I will always be a fan of someone who puts that much love to every aspect of what they do as much as possible. So, cheers to Iron Maiden for 17 albums and still trying to put love into every little thing that they do. I mean, even they still to this day, they have personalized shirts that they sell at certain shows for one day only. Like say, for example, they'll play like a show in like New York City. They'll sell a shirt for that New York City show of the tour, and then that's it. They'll never sell it again. They'll never sell again. And I managed. I scooped the Chicago one in 2010. Yeah, 2010 tour, and I was like, I have to get the Chicago shirt because, of course, they're promoting the whole Chicago Blackhawks because the Blackhawks are hot around that time. They're Stanley Cup winners and everything. So they capitalized on the opportunity. I'm like, well, I gotta get that shirt, of course, and I did, and no regrets. I feel all great about that, and it's cool because you could say I had not a tour only shirt, but a 1 day only shirt. I'm just saying that's awesome because they have every right reason to rest on their laurels. Most bands do that after they've been around so long. But to know that they're doing that this far ahead, 40 years into their careers, clearly they're still motivated and loving what they do. And that's nice to see in any form of media.
Nick, that's because they are not only trying to keep alive their careers, they are trying to keep alive the genre. If you see, there has been a real low on, especially metal, but if you see across every single rock, I forgot the word on English. Every iteration of rock, you can see that there's a low right now. There's not enough people, at least on the United States, on Canada, maybe in Europe. There's a bit more of metal. Here in Latin America, there's a lot. But if you see those huge bands from the UK, you know, that's what we grew up with, and that's no longer the case. It's not the main source of heavy metal. So these guys need to keep the genre alive. That's what I'm seeing. They are really trying to pull this new generation into heavy metal, into good music. So I actually give them props for that.
Oh, absolutely. So, okay, just to come back around, we're going to take a few steps back a little. I don't think we ever got to ever actually ask Clobbering Times. And I see Makani Draws. What's up, Makani?
Hey,
Nice to see you in the chat. Hey, Maki, if you got nothing going on, send me a message. I'll be glad to pop you a link. And what's there? Just
Go,
more Rocket
13,
Rio Iron Maiden.
yeah.
Holy shit, dude, that's insane. Godzillionaire, they still have their own airplane. One of my buddies. So Godzillionaire, in case you don't know, I live in Illinois. One of my buddies a few years ago used to work at United Airlines of O'Hare Airport, and he was at the United area, and Iron Maiden arrived in Ed Force One. He text messaged me when that happened because they were scheduled to play at the United Center that night. He sent me photos like, "Hey, dude, Ed Force One just landed," and he showed me the photos of Iron Maiden's airplane because obviously Bruce Dickinson is a pilot. So the fact that Iron Maiden flies to their own shows is once again absolutely crazy. Like their singer is a pilot. Their singer is a freaking pilot. Like, hey, how are we gonna get the extra? Oh, I'll get us there. Like, no big deal. I'll fly us there. Like that's insane. Yeah, Ed Force One is still out there. It was on the Book of Souls tour. I think that was 2015 when they did that United Center show. But once again, to carry back, I don't think we ever asked Clobberin, did you catch the initial live show of Friday Night Tights, or did you not catch it all?
I caught most of it, and then somewhere toward the. Now I was on the road. I had to go and do some parent stuff, so
Yeah,
I missed a decent sized chunk of it. Then got to hear toward the end of it. What I got to hear was a lot of fun, so I could go back and watch later if it stays up there.
Okay.
But it was a lot of fun. I thought that was obviously a great acquisition to get, Alex Jones on there for them, and that was it was pretty fun. I missed a big chunk, so I don't know if they ever. I was kind of look. I default to geek stuff all the time. I was actually interested to see if they were gonna, because he's a political guy, but he's still a human being. He has other interests probably. I wanted to see if he was gonna go into any geek stuff, or if they were gonna, and I didn't get to really hear him. If they asked him, does he like any? I mean, because it is Nerdrotic. It is all those guys. Their roots are in geekness. And that is a geek show, even if they do go towards the political sometimes. So I was just curious if they were going to ask him any of those types of questions. So I don't know if they did, and I missed it. But he did seem to know about Firefly.
Yeah, isn't it funny how random things like that he just knows about? Like, I was just like, once again, it's like there's these random things you don't think he knows. Like, okay, he knows he's very well versed in this one thing. You don't expect him to know about this, and then you're like, oh, hold up. He's like, it's kind of like with the Lefties. He's like, oh, well, I know a few of you guys already. You're like, what? It's like when I learned he knew who Danzig was. I'm not to make it about music yet, but he knew who Danzig was, and he was he was singing lyrics to Danzig. I'm like, what? Like,
look, I had
those guys that just.
Well, I once knew a guy who that I became friendly with on one of the old during the old Trek Space and it's a long story, the Trek Space Wars of 2009. But I made allies with a guy on there because we were opposed to the filth that was the 2009 Star Trek reboot. This guy was a cliched doctrinaire, hateful hippie far lefty that hated anyone to the right of just anyone. I mean, if he thought you had an R behind your name, even, or you were right leaning in any way, he hated your guts automatically and thought you were a monster. And we were when we started, we were on the same team for the same cause. We became friendly and we used to talk back and forth together. And we became. He was the kind of person that I'd heard some. I guess you'd say some of the more doctrinaire conservatives talk about as a caricature, like no one really exists. That they're making, the hippie type or whatever, or with all the. In other words, there's no real. This is one of my first eye-opening experiences, by the way, of that there really are people that are like this, and this was pre-SJW, and there was PC, and this guy had all the cliched beliefs, and he after we became friendly for a while, he once told me, he said, "Mike, I've never met anyone, on your side of because he knew that we had political differences that could like Star Trek or science fiction or anything. I didn't think it was possible. It was like a monkey riding a bicycle to him. And he wasn't kidding. He didn't believe that if you had any kind of views that were not extremely far left, I'm not trying to make it political, but this goes with the, if you
I get what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense.
He had this predisposition, towards anyone that leaned the left of him. The right of him, and that was just about everybody on the planet. The way this guy was, he was a walking cliche, to the point where you'd think he's kidding. I didn't think he was real at first. I thought he was like making it up to, to spoof a certain ideology, but he wasn't. And he'd never met anyone that he could get along with and not hate with a passion that leaned to the right of him, and much less to like Star Trek. He didn't think it was humanly possible. I'm not even kidding. It took for a couple of years. We became, I was friendly with him, and I wouldn't give up on him. He pissed off everyone else, and I stayed friends with him. And it was he's kind of changed over the years. But there was a time he lived in that bubble, so the bubble is real. And you think, well, that guy, it goes to what you're talking about. Alex Jones is this big doctrinaire conservative, or less, or not really so much conservative, like libertarian conservative. He's an ideologue in a lot of ways. So therefore, he can't be a human being that likes some of the same things that I do.
Or here's Raquel.
There can't be any common ground. Yeah, look, when I talk about this guy and call him Fizzbin, that's because we called him. I'm telling you, he was hateful. I mean, hateful. He hated Christians. He hated anyone that was not far left to him. And I didn't give up on him. We became friends. We're friendly to this day. And he's changed a lot over the years. But man, I never thought anyone like that existed. I always thought that, like, some of your more conservative commentators were exaggerating when they would make fun of your quote unquote liberal, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That guy existed, and I never knew him. I'd never met anyone quite that way. I've met people with differing ideology for sure, left-leaning ideology for sure. I'd never met anyone quite that extreme. I thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. It was real, just like they're far, far extreme right-wingers as well. And this guy couldn't even conceive of anyone liking the things he liked, like Star Trek and any of that kind of stuff, because of politics.
Oh, Lordy.
It took a lot not to give up on him, but
I'm glad you didn't. Like, it just shows you sometimes it takes longer to get through to people in certain ways, and like to have like the idea of critical thinking. It's not about changing your position. You can still maintain your position and try to like understand where people are coming from, and whether it's agree or disagree, or have gray areas in between. Some people, they just see it as like, I feel like it gets to a point where some people, you wonder if they're going to disagree with you on what toothpaste you use, and that they're going to write you up for what toothpaste you use. As silly as that sounds,
Yeah, I know.
We're getting closer
That happens.
farther to that point. And Golgo, I'm glad you sent this comp, by the way. I saved the link to watch later on my YouTube, because I will absolutely watch that Dave Mustaine, Alex Jones video for later. But go on, Pablo.
Dude, I have had fights about the kind of toothpaste you use or you shouldn't use toothpaste, because I have a lot of vegan friends. And these guys really dislike toothpaste. So they come up with these concoctions that they try to do using urea and sulfur and everything, and gets a stinky breath and doesn't really work. But they are convinced that they are going for the natural way and everything. I have had fights about using toothpaste. So yeah, this happens.
It's a weird thing. Look, Star Trek, which is a beautiful thing in its real form, was the bridge between us ideologically, and allowed, it made us, it was, but if that's, I'm sorry if that's a pun in a sense, it was a bridge, but it was, and it connected us. And again, he changed a lot of this was a very hateful person. And if you had anything anywhere close to the right of him, and Star Trek was that bridge that kind of gave us that common ground, as someone mentioned the word common ground in there. It's a strange story because it sounds crazy, but it happened, and I can't believe some of the emails I used to get from him about how he couldn't believe that I was a nice person because of what he thought my views were. And he meant it, by the way. Everyone with my views, that were monsters, and they couldn't possibly understand Star Trek or like Star Trek. And I say again, that's how powerful real Star Trek is in its purest form, or which is 735, 6605 only. Shout out to number one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Always a shout out to number one. Of course, we're gonna give a shout out to Raquel. And we gotta add another fine gentleman here who I want to hear about his experience, if he caught it, if he did. Mr. Mark D with a C.
Thank you for having me. Always a great time to be here. Yep, Friday night. I was supposed to be doing my homework watching TNG, so I'm ready for tomorrow night. But that always happens every week. I always wait to the end of the week.
It's funny that you call it homework. That's funny.
Well, it's the best homework there is, right? Yeah, I'm like, oh darn, I'm behind in my TNG.
There's a quiz
episodes.
later.
Yeah,
We're gonna test
got-
you. We
got,
want that
you know-
those reviews from you, buddy.
got comics to read, and well, actually, we might be going out to dinner again. I don't know what's happening. The wife is
that's not
violating
acceptable, man.
the Star Trek directive of not having fun on Saturday night with with going out with friends. So
I
I'm glad
feel
we're
you. I
both-
got the same. I got the same thing from my wife the other day.
guys are
She's
gonna-
like, "We're gonna do something Saturday night, right?" And I'm like, "Well,
Both of you, Mark and Lord Thought, detention.
detention. Yeah. No, she's like, "What are you? What are you?
Oh,
Totally not? You know, like Maureen, sorry, we can't go out because it's Star Trek night."
That's-
Well, enjoy the couch for the next, month.
I've tried that excuse. It doesn't. It hasn't worked. It hasn't
You
worked.
married guys, you.
Well, plus it's actually nice to get the hell out. Who I won't say. With what's happening in the world, it's
Right.
who knows how long we were able to do that. So they could take advantage. I'm in the Northeast, so it's actually we have some nice warm weather for a few more weeks. Hopefully we can actually go to a restaurant and sit outside and feel a little bit better about what we're doing before they shut us down. But
There you go, brother. Good
I
to
didn't
see you,
catch FNT, and I got to do it. But one thing I got to say is people should all be allowed to speak. But Alex Jones, my cousin, was a teacher at Sandy Hook, so it's kind of personal to me. Thankfully she was she survived, but she was a third grade teacher, so she told me about that day. And when I heard all the stuff about it didn't happen and harassing some of her friends, relatives that got killed, and it was just beyond despicable.
Yeah.
And the guy came into he was going in order, so her classroom was next in line basically before they got the SOB, and they'd actually done a test, one of those lockdown drills, and they said it's this, like at first some of them thought maybe it wasn't for real. Not to get too personal, but she's got some mementos that from Painted, one of the, I won't say any names, but from my we call them nieces, but they're just cousins. But from the girl that passed away, it's tough even to talk about paintings that she had done, because my cousin was pregnant at the time, and her friend had made paintings for for the daughter, she to put up when she was born, and she's gone now. So it's just so, but Alex, I would know, I guess he apologized finally, but just it's tough for me to, as much as I'm a crazy right-wing conservative, to watch him, but I would never shut down anyone's, I don't like the deplatforming, or now what they're doing. They're going after people through PayPal. They're going after, say if there's an industry you don't like. I know when I don't get too, I'm sorry, I'm not getting too, like, just broad strokes. Like, they go after people, if there's an industry that's not popular. I think you kind of saw that with OnlyFans, although that, maybe it's not the most sympathetic, company, but what if, it's a company that, down the road, they don't like what we're doing, right? Say I'm selling, doomsday machines, it's a, bad analogy, but if you're not approved, or if you're not well regarded, then they can just shut you down digitally, which is scary. So I'd never be in favor of that. I think debate and having someone confronting someone, and I think Alex Jones eventually apologized and realized what was happening. But I think it's part of it too. I think people were so upset. I mean, it was just such a horrible day. I think people
Alex
can't
at least admitted he's got some things wrong, and the thing is, and I'm glad he said that the things that he got right, he wishes he wishes he was right. That is actually, spoiler alert, a lot of people are like, well, you were right about a lot of things, and he said the part I'm sorry about was that I was right on a lot of things. I wish I was wrong about more things.
Yes.
So, and I agree. I do agree that I wish he was wrong about a lot of things. And yes, he is nutty. He's crazy, and he's very spazzy, and he's very energetic. He's entertaining as an entertainer, but he had a few things wrong. The only problem was he was only wrong about a few things. If only he was wrong about a lot more. That's what my issue is. I wanted him to be wrong more. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's honest, but it shows you how crazy it is that he ends up being right. It's like, give him enough time and he ends up being right. But go on, Mark.
I just want to say that I think people always look for an explanation. So, like, a lot of conspiracy theory or theories about JFK, or like that day, it was just such a horrible day. You're like, how could that have happened? And I think some of the things that happened were, like maybe the investigation was botched in some areas, or things were done wrong, and people ascertain or assign like, oh well, it's this is the government doing this, or you hear about all these things that allegedly the government's doing. I'm like, I don't think the government's that competent to do some of these things. And I think some, people want to investigate, and they're well-meaning and looking, towards these things, and to see what, try to find out really what happened, or what, how can we prevent this, or, what went on. And sometimes by going down that road, you go into things a little bit too deeply, where sometimes the simplest explanation is the best. But I would never shut down anyone who's trying to debate, or, to discuss an idea, or, that's what's great about, YouTube channels like this and other ones where you can actually like talk about things like, Clobbering Times, you were telling me about how, the Star Trek boards, how you didn't like the 09, what was happening, and people, basically friendships get ruined, and people take things personally, versus saying, well, this is what I like about it, this is what I don't like. And, that's my point of view, where I'm coming from. And you get older, I guess maybe you get a little bit more mellow. Maybe when I was younger, I was a little bit more gung-ho and fiery. But that's just the main thing that bugs me, is when I see people get deplatformed and lose their voice, because the internet is now how we communicate, right? I mean, the old days you wrote a letter to the editor, maybe, or you ran for a local office, or you ran for the PTA or whatever, and maybe you would go on like the local news channel if you got that chance to do the editorial. But today, if you're not on the internet, you have no voice. So
and yes, Pat S. I mean, I have my thoughts on both the individuals, but I will also give credit where it's due to both of the said individuals, between Alex Jones and Glenn Beck, because Glenn Beck actually went out to Afghanistan recently and actually did awesome things that he had every right not to do. So I will give credit where it's due, Clobbering. I'm glad we're on.
Glenn Beck is good. Is a really good person. Helps a lot of people. You
Yes.
can say what you want about him. He helps so many people that we don't even hear about. So, if you want to call him whatever you want to call him, he does help a lot.
Good person. This comment I gotta read. Okay, gentlemen, I hate to scoop, but I must. Show prep looms.
Star Trek homework.
All right, number one, love you.
Bye, Raquel. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Hopefully, we were entertaining enough. We tried.
By the way, I
Pablo's
need
go.
some pain medication for my. I kinda destroyed my ankle, but Doom was worth it. Or so I hope.
You okay?
So,
Oh man,
I walked like 3 hours. So I kinda overestimated the durability of my ankle. That's all. Everyone, see you soon. Take care, and this has been a hell of a day.
Yes, it has. Take care, Pablo.
Dude. It's
Take care,
definitely
Pablo.
been one of those days. Good night, dude.
Take care,
Thanks for
Pablo.
hanging
Hope you
out
feel
as
better.
always. All right, I gotta read this comment here because here's a Mr. Turk Longwell comes in hot with $5.56. Says, make sure you get some pepperoni and onions on the pizza, sir.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that they're caramelized onions, by the way. And Turk Longwell, thank you for that.
Onions?
I appreciate
No.
you. Appreciate you.
Dude, what's wrong with
I
you?
know. Normally I don't do onions, but caramelized?
Oh, caramelized.
Caramelized?
The
You mean like
best
caramelized
sometimes.
is different.
You mean with caramel on them? Wow, that's weird.
No. Caramelized is different.
Caramelized.
Trust me.
I know.
Yeah.
Caramel apples? Yeah, I can do caramelized
I'll tell you what. Normally onions, like regular onions, like it would be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of my face. That's not on pizza. But caramelized is different.
With sausage.
Put
Oh, it's good with
caramel on those
sausage.
things? Jesus Christ.
Pineapple on pizza? Absolutely.
Clobbering it. Hey, got power back. Yes, I gave you Clobbering it. Thank you, Pettis.
Thank you, man.
And
Thank you,
Pettis,
Pettis,
love you,
yeah.
brother.
Keep thinking of you. Yep.
I just want to say I'm glad you're alive. Like, you had as much as that's awesome that you did that. What's more awesome is that you are alive. I'm assuming that you're well and you are still kicking, and you are obviously on these channels to be back on the YouTubes of the world after you just went through a whole eventful lifestyle of crazy, intense, weather do you want to call it? Disaster?
Yes.
I don't know what you want to
Pretty
call it. Okay, we'll call it disaster.
It was
Thank
that.
you. That's awesome because, like I said, I still like, there are times where it bugs me that I wish I could have donated even more to have helped you, but I did what I could with what I had. Same
Oh,
for
yeah,
Clobbering. I
Thank
did
you,
what I
buddy.
could for the both of you guys. So it's
Thank
just
you,
because
buddy.
I respect all you guys, and even though being a dad, being a boyfriend, being also YouTube, being also a regular worker in the real world, I try to help everyone as much as I can. Sometimes it's hard
of
to
course.
actually do that, but
Of
I
course.
love still trying to at least try. And I can't always succeed, but at least I can go down trying. But Mark, I can't wait till you catch this show because it's really entertaining. It's really fun. It's really energetic. Catch it tonight before it, in case it doesn't make it.
Yeah, might disappear, right?
Yeah. Like if you can download it in case.
Oh, that's smart.
I
Yeah.
might actually download it tonight just in case because like, which is weird because at this point like YouTube might as well keep out. They haven't figured out that
Doesn't he
people are
take it
just going
down
to
anyway?
download it anyway. Well, he
Doesn't
puts
Gary
on
take it down
Neurotic Live.
and
He
put it on
puts on Neurotic Live.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which you could download from either or. But it's just one of those things where it's just like at this point, YouTube is rendering their idea of removing these pointless kind of. I have to emphasize the word kind of. And Mr. Grant Gregory, hailing from Australia. Hey, Mr. Grant, I hope you're okay. I know we had that chat last week on Thursday Night Throwdown. I know you are going through a lot in Australia. I wish you and I think you have a daughter now, the very, very, very best. That is a fucking hectic situation down there, and I hope it is not something that stays that way down there because you and your family deserve far, 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 far better than what's going on down there. Thank you for dropping by, buddy. Appreciate that. Okay. So I gotta bring up a subject now that we've all had our time to talk about Alex Jones, FNT. I gotta bring up a certain Spider-Man moment that happened this weekend in comics, and I honestly I don't feel like you had to have read the book to bring it up as a subject worth mentioning. It's just the fact that it actually happened. I talked with Gary from Neurotic about it on a private member stream, and he was like surprised about it too because it's just one of those things where like, who actually passed this, like in editorial, because it's just one of those things where I don't see this happening because we've seen all the incompetent decisions made in the last 15 to 20 years. Sometimes, if you want to get technical, in some ways 25 or 30. The fact that this actually happened is downright shocking. But spoiler alert, Nick Spencer, of all the writers, the guy who wrote Hydra Cap is the same guy who undid Sins Past. I am shocked that this happened, and I'm glad that it happened. It's just one of those things where you wouldn't imagine all that in the same sentence. Would we all agree on that? That's not something you'd all hear in the same sentence. Mark,
Definitely.
Lard.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's things don't usually go our way lately. So,
no, especially with something like that. Like, Marvel is so double down on every single decision that they made. And the fact that Sins Past, like, I'm glad that it happened. It's just one of those things where, like, I was hanging out at my buddy's shop. Hey, I go there, I hang out there, and he told me about it. I'm like, can I go look at a book? I want to see what's going on. And I saw that, I'm like, whoa. And I read it, it's a little convoluted of how it all happened, but I'm just glad that it happened. Like,
but what else is remarkable though, Nick, is that's the idiot Nick Spencer who did what he did to Captain America, the Hydra crap.
I know, that's what makes it all the more remarkable. And I had to mention Clobber because I talked about this with Gary in Vegas. We had a conversation about this in Vegas. And this is Ed Brubaker. This is Brubaker's words before he deleted his Twitter. So take what he says or what he said, past tense, with a grain of salt. Brubaker said that he could not stand the Hydra Cap idea. He trashed it. But at the same time, he said, "I'm not going to fault Nick Spencer for this." He said, "This is a Marvel idea. It's a stupid publicity stunt." He said, "I love what he does on his image work, The Fix, which is an image book he does with Steve Lieber." And he said that, "I think this Hydra cap is a crappy stunt gimmick." And like Spencer was shocked that he said those things because it was like there's like a hot compliment and an insult at the same time. So Spencer at the time didn't know how to take that. But Ed Brubaker said this Captain America book is not who Spencer is. Read him for The Fix. Don't read him for this garbage that is Hydra Cap. And I agree.
He's kind of a nut, though. Spencer's a TDSer.
TDSer, yes. I will give him credit in this one aspect. He did get rid of social media out of his life where he stopped arguing with fans. And I don't know if it had something to do with the idea that he was going to be writing Spider-Man and maybe he decided to commit his life to not arguing with fans and maybe actually try writing a story. Now, I will say I did look at some reviews from Yellow Flash. And Yellow Flash actually seemed to be into a lot of what Spencer is doing. And Yellow Flash was the type of guy who's ready to come in trashing the story.
Yeah.
He said he found it. Even Yellow Flash is like, I don't believe that this is the same guy. It's one of those things like, did this guy go through a life transformation between Hydra Cap to Amazing Spider-Man? Because here's what I learned from Yellow Flash and your boy Zach's video. He got Mary Jane and Peter back together in his first issue. Which for us guys who love continuity, that's good news.
You bought that, dude? What's wrong with you?
yeah, we are getting a little off track with Hydra Cap, but I hate Hydra Cap, and I also hated that JMS storyline with Stacy and what happened there.
Oh no. See, I can understand the Spider-Man one because Nick Spencer did right by Spider-Man. I can understand Spider-Man. I can actually respect the Spider-Man purchase mark.
Yeah, JMS wrote that original story that was just awful.
Yeah,
it was awful story about Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy and those twins. Like that was
the worst. That was the worst.
So this kind of retcons it. So is that what you're going there? I know you're going there.
I'm going there, and I'm going to read Mr. Grant Greggy come for $1. Says, "Are you talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 73 and him not reversing one more day?" Well, here's the thing: he is literally since past did not happen, and he played the ideas of Harry Osborn and Mysterio into it, and the fact that he used continuity dating back to ASM 388 even to his advantage. And I heard stories and that Nick Spencer read every single issue of ASM to get ready for this run. And after looking at this issue at the shop, I think there may be at least a degree of truth in that because there's a lot of continuity that goes back to all these older issues that connects like Harry Osborn to it and changes some continuity to adjust to Harry Osborn. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly he had to have read this stuff in order to do it. So I think to some degree, at the very least, he did do his homework. To be fair, I'm gonna be fair, even if it's a guy like Nick Spencer. And I'll give credit that he stopped talking with fans online about his side of stuff, whether it's comics or politics. The fact that he locked his own Twitter and made his own Instagram about things that are not that, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe he did have a change of heart, or maybe he didn't, and he just decided I'm not going to argue with fans anymore. I don't know.
Mark D with the C. Yeah. Did you put that back up again? I want to make a very specific statement. The Mary Jane picture there with hashtag Save Gingers.
I'll go back to MJ. That was on
Mr. Grant Gregory. Thank you for that $1, by the way.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's the real MJ, by the way.
Carry on. Yeah.
It's the next issue.
Mr. Grant Gregory, good to see you. MJ is a ginger. She's a redhead.
Yes.
She should never be race swapped or whatever. That is the true Spider-Man mythos right there.
Yes,
You
sir.
have a young man who's struggling to come to grips with what happened to his family and his powers. That he's a smart kid, but he is a kid, and that he's in love with this supermodel who's a ginger, and that she's way out of his league, but yet she's really not in his league considering his superpowers and everything else. And that's what's so magical about that story. I think that that's what the new MCU movies have really lost. It's the vision of Peter Parker and what he truly is. He's the everyman. He's that kid that gets kicked by the football team. He's the kid who gets pushed in the hallways and bullied, and then he comes into these superpowers, and what does he do? He helps others. And instead of with great power comes great responsibility, not ultimate power corrupts, right? And because power doesn't corrupt in this case, it's he's got that spirit of a youthful spirit that is so much fun to read about. Not this, Mr. Stark. Oh my God!
Yes, thank
Well, he did hit the
crying
jackpot
every
in one area,
freaking
right?
5 minutes.
He
That-
did
that's
hit-
that's
Oh.
Spider-Man.
Thoth, did you catch the
sir.
newest episode of What If?
Yes, the undead one,
Zombies.
the
He
zombies
actually
one? Yep.
said Uncle Ben word for word.
Yep.
I was shocked. I didn't expect it to happen. Also, shout out to Glinzer in the chat. I see you there. And let me unhighlight this so you can see the panels.
Modern comics.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
suck.
spoilers,
That
but
looks
yeah,
like
just
shit.
No,
You call that comic art? Ugh.
no, it's not. Story wise, I didn't mind it, but
Dog
art wise, obviously, it was not all
That's just me
jolly.
being an old fogey. You guys can like
No,
it.
no.
I
yeah,
can't get into
get
it.
off
I
my
actually
lawn.
agree.
No,
I
yeah,
actually
we're
agree.
teasing, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not.
it's not
I don't
great art.
Mary
Yeah.
Jane
find
can
it
get on my lawn, though.
terrible, but I don't find it great either. And also, I want to highlight this comment right. Go ahead, Mark. You would see as I find this comment.
Yeah, I'll just flip through a few pages and you can.
Yeah, flip through.
But
can't
what,
show
what I
much,
think that
though, 'cause
original story
You get
when
in trouble showing too much of it.
yeah, all right, I'll just show. Yeah.
All
But
right,
when-
Joe.
You ever
Yeah, we
notice
don't
like
wanna get Nick in
with Yellow
trouble.
Flash or when
here's the
your boy
Eternals.
Zap, when they review comics, they show like just a few pages here and there.
Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, see, yeah, and I can see once again those are older Spider-Man stories, dating back to like the 300s era. I see coming into play. So okay, so clearly Nick Spencer did do some research. Once again, I do respect that someone actually did look into older books to understand the story, which is crazy because to second what Ed Brubaker said, I actually liked what he did with the fix. I did. I thought it was a cool book, and I like what he did with the Superior Foes of Spider-Man back in 2013, whereas Dan Slott was tarnishing Superior Spider-Man. Spencer, of all people, wrote a cool book involving Lady Beetle, Boomerang, Shocker, Overdrive, and Speed Demon. You're talking about like 5 Z-list villains. And he does a 17-issue heist story involving those 5 characters who are trying to call themselves the Sinister Six, even though there's 5 characters. And it was a really comical story. It was fun. It was funny. It was entertaining all the way through. It actually stuck the landing at the end. And then all of a sudden Hydra Cap happened. I'm like, dude, bro, what happened to you? I thought we were friends. What happened to our friendship? No, it really felt like that because I like Superior Foes and I like the fix as well for Image. And now it's like, and then I know after he's got one more issue with ASM, after that he's done with Marvel. He cut ties with Marvel. This is what makes this more interesting. He cut ties with Marvel. He's done with them. He's escaped the company. He's going independent again with that Substack thing. And it's just like, so is Nick Spencer the type of guy where maybe he did all this madness just to say he wanted to respect Spider-Man only, and then get out of there and make his peace? Because it seems like he's unusually respecting Spider-Man like a lot, at least as far as his story and trying to undo these things. The fact that he brought Mary Jane back together with him, undid Sin's past. Could he go for the hat trick and now undo one more day? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that it could happen?
So it got a little complicated in recent issues. So you had the Harry AI, right? The artificial intelligent intelligence that was kind of conflicting with the whole Norman Osborn, what happened with the Clone Saga, and Gwen Stacy, right? And then
Yes.
that gets really complicated, and it's all about past sins and that whole. I really don't like when you bring in a character like Mephisto into a mainstream street
Yeah.
level comic book story, because he's really a very cosmic level Doctor Doom.
Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's a Doctor Strange more thing.
But Doctor
absolutely,
Strange was
Bobby.
in this though. Here, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Which bothers me too, and that's why I'm kind of a little bit. I know I'm sidetracked.
Well, that's the only
just a
way you
little
can undo
sidetracked.
stuff like that, though, right? I mean, how else will you?
Well, you
I
have to
guess-
get you have to go
or
big.
unless
You're
you
right.
come up with another way. But yeah,
But I also, that's why I'm having some issues with Doctor Strange being in the next Spider-Man movie too. Like, I get that.
I can understand that.
Yeah, because that whole idea of Doctor Strange erasing everybody's. Well, if you hadn't made the mistake in the first place where he reveals his identity to everybody, you wouldn't have to have Doctor Strange go and create this magical fix-it, which causes problems, because then you open the door to Nightmare, and you open the door to Mephisto, and you open the door to a whole bunch of dark magic that you really don't need to bring into a Spider-Man movie. If I want great Spider-Man stories, the Sinister Six is a great idea. That comic series, I've been reading it, I've been getting it, and I've been enjoying it, except for this mystical, weird, reincarnated Norman Osborn part of it. But having the Rhino and having, Electro and all the great Spider-Man villains come back and try to kill him. Absolutely. That's a cool story. But bringing back all of these characters and trying to fix things that happened in like 1995 or I can't even remember the date it was. It was the 90s, right? And so what it is it's you've got your new fans who've been loving Spider-Man for the last 10 years, and you've got the old fans who hated that, but yet have stuck with the title because it's one of the most hugely popular comic books there is. It's Spider-Man. He's one of the greatest characters of all time. So I just think this is way too convoluted. I just think what you do is you just close that chapter and move on to a next chapter and forget it ever happened.
Yeah, here's the thing though. I actually 800% agree with you. I feel though, and this is this is just what I'm saying. It seems like a lot of fans won't move past that unless it's brought up and acknowledged that it's undone. Like Spencer, word for word, put in this book that these events in Sins Past never happened. Like it's actually said the words "never happened" in a little like quote balloon. And I once again, the fact that it's that direct and that blunt, it's out there. Once again, between Mary Jane and Peter getting back together, issue 1. Now we're talking issue 73, Sins Past being undone. It's like, I agree. I would say with you, I agree. In a perfect world, just don't mention it again, let it be. But it seems like a lot of Spider-Man fans, and I get that. Spider-Man's my favorite comic book character. Just move on. But a lot of Spider-Man fans, and this is maybe because I am in the minority on this, a lot of these Spider-Man fans want to directly acknowledge word for word this shit is not a thing. I get it why, but for me, it's just like, I don't care that much. Just don't ever talk about it again. I could let it go if they just don't ever talk about it again. And that was what gave me hesitancy to check out this run, even though you had guys like Yellow Flash praising it. Like, because I do value what guys like Yellow Flash say, because they do give credit where it's due, but they'll also trash it when it's trash. That's good.
Yeah, he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah. And the fact that, here's the thing, like, editorial nowadays in Marvel is super incompetent. The fact that Sins Past actually got done, this is a landmark. This might be one of the last few great things that ever happens in Marvel. this may be like we might not have a big thing like this again. Like, for me, it's a little victory for fans, fans who stuck around, who obviously who hated One More Day as they should, and stuck around and somehow plowed through the slot run and they got this. It's got to be a sigh of relief. Like, they got to that point. This is kind of like the finish line for them. Like, okay, this doesn't matter. I've waited 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years. Here we are. I finally got this. And yes, Mr. Grant Gregory, what a day. Jones on FNT and 32 Flavors praising Spanish. Oh, who would have thought? I know. Dude, all this
it's a mirror universe.
Not make sense. Like,
mirror, Nick.
It's funny, TC Canadian, because my wife just peeked around the corner too, so I feel you, brother.
and Nick is going to do a review of the new ABBA album next week, right? Yeah.
Damn, Nick, you guy in the
Dancing Queen, brother.
I got 2 album reviews next week. I'm actually going to double down on my metal twice. I'm going to finally review Iron Maiden. I'm going to review the new Carcass album as well, so I'm going to do some death metal as well.
And then ABBA.
And then maybe ABBA. We'll see. We'll see where I stand. Sorry, alcohol is getting to me. So
Ben Riley's returning.
But here's the thing.
Another drink.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I saw that comment. Now here's the thing.
He's coming back.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
But that's after Spencer leaves. Now here's the thing. I will say this, and this is just my opinion, not speaking for anyone on the panel or in the chat. If Spencer undoes One More Day in the price that Ben Riley comes back, I'm good with it. You know why? Mm-hmm. It gives Peter Parker a proper happy ending. Says he gets to live in pain or happiness or both with Mary Jane, and Ben Riley is somehow being Spider-Man. Peter Parker deserved his happy ending after so long. Let the man
but
rest.
they're going to replace Peter Parker with Ben Riley?
From what I know, they are. And you know this comic books. It won't last.
Yeah.
My guess is
they've done that before, but
he's a fill-in because maybe he gets really injured this last issue. Nick Spencer does. You're like super seriously injured to a point where Ben Riley is nothing more than a fill-in until Peter Parker is up on his feet again.
Yeah.
And that's all, once again, that's all it is. Fun. I get that too. Because we all know it's another cheap status quo that won't last. It's not going to be a status quo because Peter Parker will still be alive. It just seems like he's kind of like hanging in limbo type of situation after his final fight with Harry Osborn, a.k.a. Kindred. So
that's what gets me.
Crap beat out of him. He's getting the crap beat out.
Wipe out the Clone Saga too while they're at it. But sorry.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
I think what we need to do is we need to hire the Punisher to kill all these clones and alternate universe,
all different versions of Spidey. Yeah.
Yep, and all these Spider Women and whatever new female version of Spider-Man they're going to come up with next week, and let's just have the original.
That's
the OG Spider-Man.
Well, that's what gets me. You gotta get rid of the multiverse in general, which is fine by me.
Yeah, it's like they can't just go back to the basics of the character and tell a good story within those constraints. Either someone's got to die or something's got to give, or it's like you look at that first FF run. The first 100 issues. You didn't have to necessarily. Of course, crazy things that happen, but it's like let's just stick to the basics of why we love the character and tell the story within those parameters. Not that you can't shake up the status quo once in a while, but
well, that's because you're toxic, Mark.
I'm toxic.
Know what you're talking about. Like
but
that sounds terrible, man.
One of my favorite all-time runs, believe it or not, is Spider Girl. She appeared in What If, and there was a DeFalco run. I have every issue of that, and it was kind of an alternate universe or What If universe. But Peter Parker there ended up with Mary Jane and had the daughter Mayday Parker, who had the powers of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's retired, he's lost a leg in a fight, and he's mentoring her. But it was like, oh, you actually got to see what would have happened if Peter Parker had a life where he had a kid. His kid wasn't stolen by the Jackal, and the Clone Saga and all that crap.
I don't have a problem with alternate universe versions.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't have a problem with that. That's a good idea, Mark. I like that. But if it's alternate universe, I'm good with that. But I like the pure character. I like pure Captain America, Steve Rogers, the Patriot.
Yeah.
I like Ben Grimm and the Fantastic Four being Ben Grimm and the Fantastic Four. I like Spider-Man being Peter Parker, the young kid struggling through life because he's poor and he's taking pictures of himself to pay for his apartment, and he's in love with this supermodel, and that's the struggle of 90% of American or Western men and women out there today. It's a struggle, and that's what is the calling. That's what these characters are. They get back to basics, which is what you said earlier.
Yeah, and that's what this MC2 universe was so good, because this is like although it's alternate universe, it's fast forward 30 years, and Peter Parker is still struggling, and it was his character. It was just, I loved it so much because it was written old school writing, and it was that was Peter Parker and Mary Jane together. Although you want to see what happened in between, and they had flashbacks. But if anyone hasn't read any of those, I'm sure they're in the dollar bin somewhere. But that's a great. If you want, old school Spider-Man, that was the way I got it. When one more, although I kept reading, the regular titles, I read it through Spider-Girl, and they had some of the old villains would show up. The Fantastic Four showed up there, so it was kind of a cool, alternate, although it's alternate universe in my mind. I'm like, that's Peter Parker. That the writing, that was Peter Parker. Although we wanted to see him as, Spider-Man again, but it was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool, and he did get into costume a few times, and. I'd recommend that one for us get off the lawn types.
I had a buddy back then when that was coming out. I had problems with the Falco, but I had a buddy of mine who nagged the living crap out of me every damn week that I needed to be reading Spider-Girl, and I didn't. But so you just let you know that you had some company there. Guys, love that. Some of the other. I don't know. I have some problems with Tom DeFalco. Some of the stuff. However, it's not that I disbelieved him. But since he was nagging me so much, I definitely wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, he should have used, this is horrible. I can't believe I'm reading this every week.
Reverse psychology.
Or maybe I would have shown where's you don't want to read this, do you?
we took each other's suggestions sometimes, but that was one. I was like, I don't want to read that. Oh God, but he was crazy for it. So you're not alone, dude. They're two of you, man.
Yeah.
I canceled my Avengers, so the Avengers was in my pull list for literally decades. I've been collecting the Avengers comic since the 70s. And about 2 years ago, it got so bad that I cut the cord and I stopped getting it. And that was... It was Black Falcon became the head, which wasn't the problem, but it was what they were doing. You had Thor with the Red Hulk, and they were having this romantic relationship, and it was just this whiny comic book that I was reading every month, and I just said, "That's it, I'm done." And so the Avengers was one of the ones that I went tossed. I'm like. One or two bad issues in a row from doing the same for Justice League, and I've been getting Justice League since issue number 1. So I am a deep cut Justice League guy, and let me tell you, it is the last couple of issues.
Number 1.
What's that? We're talking Silver Age. We're talking original Green Lantern, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Starro the Conqueror.
Do you have a Brave and the Bold number 28?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude!
And I'll tell you what, it is not in good shape.
At least you got it, brother.
I have it, but let me tell you, it's pretty ragged.
Man. You got it, man.
If I take it out of the bag, it would probably crumble into dust. That's how bad a shape
it's at least you got
I think it's worth about 5 or 10 cents, and that's Canadian. So,
you never know with prices these days. So.
You know what's funny about that thought when you talk about like dropping a book that you bought forever?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know. I don't know what was wrong. Well, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'm nuts, I guess. But there are a lot of these comics that, when I think back to them, Avengers, whatever. Let's take Avengers. We'll just use Avengers for an example, or X-Men. I dumped them in the early '80s.
Yep.
I got as soon as Perez left. In other words, I dumped them pretty early, but then again, I was in my late teens and early 20s working in comic shops. So I wanted different things other than standard superheroes. There were some good superhero titles, but I dumped them. And so it was always funny to me, like if I get into a conversation with some random person at a comic shop in let's say 89 or 93 or whatever, and they'd start, going on about what's wrong with the X-Men. And I'll feel like, God, I'm old. I dumped it about 10 years ago. And I was like, and so when I hear this, I'm glad that, there are people who just stuck with it for so long. But the Avengers, I look back now and I go, I should have kept buying it, because it was at that point, even with lesser creative teams and lesser art, it's still so much better than crap we get now. So every time I would go back to the book, I think Avengers kind of lost something in the early 2000s when it couldn't just be the Avengers. It had to be an army. It had to be 10 titles. And they had to stretch so thin and all that Bendis stuff. And they were bringing in characters that really shouldn't be in the Avengers. And it got really all worn out. You talk about Spider-Man. Superman can have Superman family. I love that he does a Batman family. But Spider-Man needs more than any character just about to be Peter Parker, and that's it. To be unique to the costume, to the character. Now, the Spider-Girl title, I understand that was an alternate universe.
Yeah.
But when you start adding a Spider-Verse and all these other spiders, I don't know.
And Moreland, remember, was it Moreland was the guy that had all
Moreland.
the powers? Moreland was ridiculous. So he was just this,
Straczynski.
it was like this, god, spider gods and all this, trying to make it mystical and stuff with the
and he could
powers.
Apparently, Spidey couldn't get any other superheroes to help him. Like that, we're supposed to believe Moreland could beat Thor, for example, or Hulk.
Oh, what?
That was JMS.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I remember that now.
Remember that
No.
It's funny you should say that.
You know what?
Because
Here I am. Sorry, Lord. I gotta say this real quick, and I'll
go ahead.
Shut the hell up. Spencer is respecting Spider-Man more than Straczynski.
Yes,
true.
I'm curious. He is. He is. Of all, the Hydra Camp guy is respecting Spider-Man more than Straczynski.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this world is weird. I'm shutting up.
No, that's good. I just wanted to say one thing here, and that's about Spider-Man. So I think what Spider-Man's appeal is family, right? We all have our issues with family, and he's got one person in his life that means everything to him, and that's his aunt. He's lost his uncle. We've all lost our father. We've all lost our mother or our uncle, or we've been closer to that part of the family, our grandfather or our grandmother. So we can all kind of see the appeal in him struggling through life because he's poor. He's not rich, but he's rich in love because his aunt takes care of him and looks after him, and yet he's struggling through high school, and then he's struggling through college, and he's going on life where he's struggling as a photographer. He's blue collar. He's working his butt off, and he gets these superpowers, and then what does he do is he helps people. And I think that's the real core part of the story about Spider-Man, and that's why he has such an appeal, because he's the everyman. And when you start to add all these other characters and you add clones and it complicates the story more than it has to be. Yeah. I think these characters really need to get back to basics, and you need to look at what makes him appealing to the crowd. Why does everybody out there buy Spider-Man? It's not because he wears a blue and black and red leotard. Mm-hmm. Or he flies around on webs and that's not the core of the character. The core of the character is his spirit and his belief and his faith and his faith in human beings, and he knows he has extra abilities, so he feels that that's his responsibility to protect others from the bad guys out there. And that's like every cop in existence. Like you would, when everybody's talking about cancel the police and defund the police and all that, but 99.9% of those men and women in the on that blue line, it's that solid blue line. They're out there to protect people. They're out there to sacrifice themselves for others, and that's what makes a superhero, and that's what makes Spider-Man so unique within the superhero community, because he's that everyman, and that's what always appealed to me about him. He's not my favorite superhero, but he's up there in the pantheon of the greatest superheroes of all time.
Absolutely.
All right. Before I respond to Thoth's comment, Tyrell72, I see your comment. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Hey,
Very
Tyrell.
awesome you saying that. And Thoth, I second what you said. obviously, I don't know what it's like being on the front lines of what you do, but I respect that you are genuinely trying to do your job to the best of your ability, even though complications and results varying by the day. Because I can only imagine how much things change on the continent, which makes it a lot more complicated, convoluted for you, and it probably drives you and the other boys crazy because you're trying to do what it takes to genuinely keep the peace, but you got the state coming down on you, making things harder, and you're like, what? These are weird, crazy rules making things worse, and you're just trying to protect and serve, whereas the government doesn't understand the words protect and serve anymore. I can at least feel like an individual like you, and I'm assuming some of your guys on the line, you understand what those words mean, but it seems like a lot of the state guys above you don't seem to understand what those words mean anymore, and that's what's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate.
Give me 12 issues to write. I'd write you a Spider-Man story.
There you go. I'm for it, man. Let's find you an artist. Find that man an artist right now.
Yep. That's what I said. Klobby a joke text. When I make my first $1 billion, I'll hire him and Raquel to write this new Star Trek series. I'd like to see. Yep.
You know what? The first thing I would do is I would call all of you guys and I'd say, okay, let's hammer this out. Let's spitball this. What would be a great 12-issue Spider-Man story? Like, what? Like that?
I had to think about for a long time before.
No, Gomer Kyle.
Gomer Kyle 79. I see you over there. So we got some questions here, and I want to be interactive and then be fair. May I ask favorite not mainstream character? Mark USC, do you got one?
Yeah. Oh God, who was I just? I was thinking of the character. Who was the character? Darkhawk.
Oh, I like that.
Mainstream and says he's Marvel, but he's kind of a lesser. So.
Oh, you
are you saying like a backbencher or it's non-Marvel DC?
Well, let's go with both. So if you got one, go with Marvel. Okay, great. Now, do you got one for indie?
For indie, I'm not a huge indie guy.
Okay. Yeah. Lord Thoth. Favorite not mainstream character big two, and then non big two.
Non-mainstream big two. Do you mean just favorite like
I guess.
Yeah, I've always been a Spawn guy. I do like Spawn. I like Aspen a bit, but do you know? Does Dreadstar count?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Judge Dredd. Like, I mean, there's a whole bunch that are non-DC, non-Marvel ones that we. I mean, there's a long list, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I had a brain fart. You got to say, my favorite spoon. The Tick. Of course, I read the Tick. How could I forget to mention the Tick before anyone hits me with the spoon?
It's tough to pick one.
All right.
And what was the other one? You said the non-mainstream, and what was the other?
Indie.
One non-mainstream, like as far as big two, and then one indie.
I guess I kind of covered them all, didn't I?
Yeah, no, you did. Klobby.
Do you know what? I'll say one more too that I have a soft spot for. That goes way back, and that's Hellboy.
You know what? I'm glad to actually agree with that because even though he's one of those characters that had the movie, he's still not that known to even bigger comic book audiences. Even though he's the character who had the movie treatment, 3 movies, and that he's still not that well known. So I would actually have to defend Thoth on that argument. I'm just saying, I would agree there. And that's really odd because usually it's characters who have not had a movie where you're like, okay, I can see that. And I had one other one. Forgive me here, guys. Obviously, I've had a lot of alcohol in me. Dude, I'm feeling pretty good right now. This coming here from Mr. Grant Gregory. Question for panel: if you could get Raimi back for Spider-Man 4, what story should be adapted? Writing the Raimiverse. Clobbering times. I'll let you hit the floor first with this.
On the other, on the characters that you were asking about earlier, though, there are too many to name anyway. Like a favorite but a favorite kind of a frontliner for the big two would be maybe Rich Rider Nova, but I love Simon Williams Wonder Man as well. There's so many though. Jonah
Rom.
Hex, Jonah Hex, and of course Indy. I mean, good Lord, Judge Dredd. You already mentioned Judge Dredd, and good God, Dreadstar's a great one, by the way. I like that one, man. There's so many. John Sable. But I know that's a little obscure. But
oh wow,
no, that gold
Sable's a great one. That's a great one, Clubby.
Oh, yeah. I love him. What was that question that you had back up there, though?
About Spider-Man 4. If Raimi were to do a movie, what would you? I gotta look for that comment again.
Well, I have a strange answer for that. I mean, I think
go for it. Be strange.
I think I would probably. Even though I hate the black costume, sorry folks, hate it.
No, don't apologize.
The hunter, the Craven Hunt story.
Craven Hunter,
okay.
I was just thinking the same thing.
That story wasn't that called the Hunter? Lord, I'm drawing.
Craven's Last Hunt. Craven's Last Hunt. Great story.
And I hate it. For me to already got to understand something here. I'm not the biggest Mike Zeck fan. I hate that costume. And I got nagged. You got to read it. I dumped Spidey. You better read it. I mean, I got threatened with my life. Not really. But
did you really?
But everyone just bugged me to read it. I said, "What do you mean me to read it for? Leave me. Go like it yourself." But I did.
One thing I
liked it.
One thing I'd love to see is just more Spidey being Spidey, like busting bank robbers or muggers, or helping little just the superhero being a super. We got one montage of that. Was that Amazing Spider-Man #2 or one? I can't remember, but I just love let's see more. It doesn't always have to be a super villain or a giant robot or something they're going against. Just more of helping in everyday life, or like maybe a street level mystery tied in with like a bigger villain, but probably never get that because they always want like a huge big bad. It's got to be something massive that they're going against.
Well, if you're talking Spider-Man stories, Craven's Last Hunt is got to be the best. Like
that's a great one. Yeah,
the Gwen Stacy death is huge too. Except they've retconned it like 5 times. But but what I would like is I'd like to have a Spider-Man trilogy, and I'd like to have the first one where he faces off against, say, the Green Goblin, the Vulture, and Mysterio, maybe in there as a side, as a hint. Yeah, and then you build up, and then the next one he's dealing with Electro, and maybe the Rhino, and then Craven, and then you have the third one, which is the end of the trilogy where it's the Sinister Six, and they all come at him, and it's like 2 hours of just action.
I take it. I'll take it.
And Rhino's not a robot.
Oh God, cyborg, whatever the hell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you guys have all given your answers. I'm going to give 2 answers to this question for Mr. Grant Gregory. I got 2 answers. If you're talking modern day current times, I'm going to say no, leave it alone. We just got to let it go. Now, for a second answer, if we were in 2009, 10, 11, I'd say, let's do, as far as a villain, I would like a villain like Craven or Scorpion. I actually love Scorpion. I'm a big Matt Gargan fan. I love the story involved with him and J. Jonah Jameson. That's a big attachment. Scorpion. Oh, dude, of course. That's the only Scorpion for me as far as that is concerned. As far as conversation is concerned, Matt Gargan or get the fuck out. Anyways, that all said, I'm a big Scorpion guy. Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain. However, Scorpion is the character I have the most Spider-Man comics of. So I'm on this weird streak where I'm like, I gotta get every comic where Spider-Man battles Scorpion. So that's been my thing for a lot of years. We'll just say that, a lot of years.
Right.
I have a lot more Doc Ock ones, actually, to think about it. And even though Mysterio was my favorite, Doc Ock in my second.
You're cutting out, Thought.
Mysterio, cut your signal out there.
Mysterio did some
I said
shit
Mysterio. Mysterio's my man, but I like Doc Ock. He's probably he's
Doc
probably
Ock's
my
a
second
fantastic
favorite
villain. Once again, I love Doc Ock. I love the Green Goblin. I just, for some reason, growing up, I was attracted to weirder characters like Mysterio, Kraven, Scorpion, and that's not to take away from Doc Ock or Green Goblin, who were both fantastic. I love those villains. It's just something I just felt a little extra with those villains.
How about the Lizard?
Love the Lizard. Love Dr. Kurt Connors.
Because that's a great story too. Yep.
Yeah.
Love that concept. That concept of family and tragedy. I still love that to this day, and that is something I will. He was actually the Lizard was my first Spider-Man animated series action figure.
Cool.
By the way, so just saying.
He was in the first episode. He was in the first episode, right? Yeah.
And there was yes, the very, very, very first episode.
That's right.
Someone mentioned in the chat earlier. I'm trying to get to this one last comment before we bounce, because yes, we are gonna bounce, guys. Dude, off subject from Turk Longwell. A pure Spawn gunslinger. You convinced me. Oh shit. Were you listening to Clobbering Times? Oh, were you listening to my YouTube short? I want to know.
Talking about that yesterday.
I was talking about the yesterday, but I also talked about. I did like a 50-second YouTube short. I want to know where did you find it, because wherever I convinced you, dude, awesome. Because as I said on GGG and on my short, I've never read a Spawn comic prior. Oh shit! He discovered through the short.
Those shorts are good you've been doing, Nick. Yeah, those are good. Yep.
Excellent. Wow. I'm sorry. Just this is a lot to take in. Okay.
Well, the King Spawn,
don't sell yourself short.
The King Spawn issue was one of the best comic issues I've read in a long time, and the that Gunslinger Spawn was in that. There was a little short in that. And
yes,
I really enjoyed it.
So
I added it to my pull list. So it's that's McFarlane. I've got 3 of his special edition figures downstairs. I was part of the Kickstarter, and they're pretty awesome. And
I bet they are.
I've got the first about 135 issues or so, and then started again from 200 to like 230 or something, and then here and there when the cover was really awesome, I'd go in my comic shop and it'd be on the shelf, and I go, oh, that's really cool. I pick it up. That is the only comic that I would do that for. It's very rare. I would just randomly impulse buy, and it was a Spawn issue. So yeah, I wish I had gotten it from 1 until 300 and what is it, 319 or 320? I think is the latest.
It's like
issue.
320 something.
Yeah. I wish I had gotten it. Yeah, there's about 50 or 60 comics I'd have to pick up, which is with the shipping, it's about $20 shipping from the US for one issue.
Wow.
So. But Spawn has been off and on one of the best comics, I think, in the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to know what I did with my copies.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna try to make this quick. I never read Spawn. I bought King Spawn. I saw Neurotic. I saw Heel versus Babyface praising it, and I think Ironcasters talked about it too. I'm like, you know what? I'll at least check this one shot out. So I checked it out, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't in love with it as much as everyone else was. I thought it was enjoyable. It was more like it was fun to read. It wasn't huge. It wasn't to write home about. However, the Gunslinger short in that book at the very end was to write home about. I love that concept of the revenge plot, and the that seemed like a story that was filled with heart and with passion. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is living this whole past timeline sent to the future, but needs to have a revenge death. That's cool as fuck to me. And he's a Spawn type of character. That's kind of cool. Like, I'm like, that actually interested me, because I like my blood and gore, but I like a little added substance. I felt like that Gunslinger took that aspect of blood and gore and added the substance with the past and present and with the revenge death. I'm like, okay, I'm going to check this out. And I immediately, when I went to my buddy Keith, shout out to Keith's Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois, Nerd Rock funded his shop $1,000. Same with Humberto Ramos for $1,500. I told Keith, I'm like, Keith, I want to check this Gunslinger book out. This actually sounds like something that I might like. And I'm not even like wild about these type of books. So he's like, okay, done. Cool. And Turk Longwell, awesome. I'm glad that you checked out this short. That is really cool because that's one of my lesser known viewed shorts. And the fact that not only did you watch that, but you subscribed and that you have now commented in the chats is awesome. I'm very happy. It just lets me know that people are out there checking out what I do. And Mr. Grant Gregory here, we're going to see for $2.59 says,
All right.
Get a slice on me. Thanks for the stream. Didn't know how big of a comic nerd you are. We need to do a stream together, compete in comic book trivia league online. Woo! All right, well, here's the deal, Mr. Grant Gregory. You got my Twitter. Write me a message. I'm gonna take a week off next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. You're on as a guest. All right, you're on. If you're hearing this right now, you're in. I'll have you be on as a panelist. We'll talk comic books. You can be amongst these guys like Clobbering Times and Lord Thoth, Geek Tropology, and Mark D with a C. You be amongst fine gentlemen here, and we'll talk comic books. It'll be glorious, but great. And you know what? I know a guy like you down in Australia, you need to talk about happy things. You're in, my friend. All right, you're in. That's it. So just respond to my message, and I got you, bro. It's on. And Seven here with the Lobo/Freakazoid. I want to Rise of the Midnight Suns Night Stalkers movie with Blade Morbius and Hellboy King. If only, my friend. Ah, there he is, Mr. Gray. In 2 weeks, it's done. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Cool,
Seriously. Thank you. It's done, dude. It's gonna be great. Fat Steven Seagal.
Yay,
What's
Steven.
up, man?
Hey, Steven. How's it going?
Oh, yeah.
Hell.
Okay. The Egyptian God, Lord Thoth, plug in your channel, say all the good things, whatever it is you want to say.
I'm going to be selfless here and say, hey, Fat Steven Seagal, check out his channel. Awesome. Clobbering Times, looking forward to Star Trek tomorrow night. It's always a good time. Mark D with the C, I wish I could be on your streams after 10 o'clock my time, but you've been putting out some outstanding content. And you know, it's great to see you guys starting to push your channels and growing. Pablo, you too. It's always awesome to be a part of these streams talking about comic books. It's yeah, I do remember those gaming streams where I'm jealous watching you kick some ass on those video game streams, Steven Seagal or Fat Steven Seagal. It's I get to live my life vicariously through you. But you guys, yeah, you inspire me, Flava Flavs. It's awesome to see you on your stream, on Comics Division stream, out there, getting your name out there. It's a lot of fun. I just love talking comic books, and I love talking pop culture. And, it was a very tiring night, and it was so fulfilling. It's great seeing all these great creative people out there doing their thing on YouTube, which is the greatest platform for talking about the things we love. So thank you for letting me be a part of it, and let me be a part of this team.
Hey, Lord Thoth, I appreciate you coming on. This is what I do, and I love it, and I'm glad I get to have a man of knowledge and one, obviously, of expertise and conversation to your level. Once again, I'm still under leagues with guys like you, Mark D with the C, Clobbering Times. My old thing is, can I at least hold the conversation with you guys to at least seem halfway relevant? That's all I hope for out of this. Is like, can I seem relevant? Hopefully, because guys like you and Clobber and Mark D, I'm just trying to I'm just trying to hold the candle to the big boys is what I see because you
Don't
guys
say that, buddy.
No,
You
no,
don't have no
worries about that.
I just said that
Yeah.
because you guys and your knowledge, like I said, I'm a big comic fan, but it's more like I feel like I love it to the same degree, but I don't have as much knowledge to the same degree. And here is me trying to play the art of catch up. So I'm just happy. And the fact that Thoth, you come on as consistently as you do, which you have every right not to, because between neurotic Doomcock, you have every right not to. You have a life. You also have, hashtag save gingers as well. You're also out there chasing bad guys. I'm thankful. I'm always thankful, and
Absolutely.
we'll be back in 2 weeks. And if you're around, great. If you're not, you are always welcome back whenever you are around. So thank you for your time, sir. You are extremely, extremely valuable to this panel.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. And TZ Canadian, thank you. Sevron13, great stream. Thank you. Once again, it helps to have good guys who know how to carry a good conversation. That's really all it comes down to, really. That's all it is. And now, Mr. Mark D with a C.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, no, you can, a ton of stuff too. So never sell yourself
Yes,
short.
right.
So,
Absolutely.
and the older you get, the more you forget too. Don't forget that. I'm trying to remember all the comics I've read. They all get crammed together. I'm like, what storyline was that? But yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was on Lorena's channel with Cloudburn Times. Was it 2 days ago? Reviewing Shang-Chi. So everyone, I'm sure most people here follow Lorena, but if you don't, check that out, follow her, and you could watch her review there. I'll be on Sunday morning or afternoon, depending where you are, with Pop Culture Archivists. Not sure what the subject is this week, but we always figure out something good to talk about. Sunday night, I'm doing my 10:30 Eastern geekery, weekend geekery, Sunday night geekery stream. Usually Cloudburn Times is there, maybe Steve Mitchum. You guys are always invited, just hang out and with buds, talk about whatever topic comes up. It's just a free for all. And I've always have 3D printing videos and toys, and I got to start doing some of those shorts. And I keep saying that because that's a great idea. Maybe do a couple of toys, or I've got an excellent Eddie that I printed. I got to show you the Eddie that I printed. So it's really cool. This is an awesome Eddie. I got to show you that. I'll print it and send you one. Yeah, but there's some awesome 3D Eddies. There's actually someone I just saw that did a planter, an Eddie planter. I don't know if that's sacrilegious or not, but
no, I had to see that. My body is ready.
Yeah,
my body is ready. Oh my god! Hey, Mark D, thank you as always.
Thank you. Yep,
I'm very thankful when you come on. Thank you also for modding, and also thank you to any of the other mods in the chat if you're still around. And I can't wait to have you on for Toxic Tuesday. This one is going to be huge. This one's going to be...
Cloudburn Times will be on for that one too,
yes,
right?
He will. Oh, yes, he will.
This is going to be big trouble next Tuesday. Big trouble.
Yes, it is. This one is going to be ridiculous. And now for the man himself. You introduce yourself. I don't even do the talking.
Oh, I don't know who how should I know who I am? Dude, I'm always honored to be here. Thank you, Nicholas. You are a fantastic friend. I've just been blessed to have you as a friend since I moved to YouTube a little over a year ago, and so many great friends I've made over here. LT and of course Mark D with the C, and Paulie and Loki and Fat Steven and many other fantastic friends over here, and I appreciate you all. This is a great channel you got here, buddy, and a great talk we have here on Friday nights. Let's see, Saturday night, of course, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, my wonderful first officer, Raquel Briggs, and I, reviewing 4 more episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, as we're in our ongoing quest to review all of Real Trek, 66 through 05, only Real Trek. And Monday night, I will be doing my Monday Night Mark C Comics talk, covering the comic. I'm doing the great comic book team-up titles this year, all 5 of them. The World's Finest last week. This week, Brave and the Bold, the comic. And Wednesday, of course, Tuesday night I'll be hanging out here talking one of my favorite movies, Big Trouble in Little China.
It's gonna be so good.
And dude, are you still on for Wednesday night with Loki? And
myself? Dude, it's on like donkey. and Diddy Kong Super Nintendo Rumble Pack
great.
N64 style. I cannot wait to
What we're gonna
talk
be doing-
football with you and Loki. Oh,
Yes,
heads are gonna roll.
Well, it's going to be a deviation from what I normally do on the channel, so it's probably going to get me in trouble. But instead of geek stuff, we're going to geek out about NFL history. We're going to look at we're going to react, sort of a reaction video type thing, but not exactly. We're going to talk about the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks for every single team in the NFL. You know, all their 4 best quarterbacks throughout their history. We're going to be talking about that. But there are only 3 of us so far, you and Loki and myself. We need a 4th since it's 4 people, 4 guys.
Well, I can hop.
What night was that, Bobby? What night was
Wednesday
that?
night. Wednesday night.
should be around.
9 Central.
Oh, either one of you. We could have 5. Look, buddy, you're welcome, buddy. You know that.
God,
I don't know if you're in the NFL.
Yes.
You know?
I
And,
could, if you need me, I could be there.
You can be there now. Thought I did not know you had interest in that sort of thing. Otherwise, would have.
Yeah, we talked about that the other night. Remember?
We did mention. Yeah, well, dude, you're there, man. Either one of you there. It could be 5, and we're gonna just react to some of the choices made by this. I'll send you the video, everyone. It's like a 15-minute video with this. You know, we're not gonna beat up on another channel or anything like that. I'm just saying some of their choices I agree with, but others, you know, if you know your NFL quarterbacks in the NFL history, there's some questionable ones on there. I mean, you know, Tony Romo, for example. But anyway,
No.
no Tony Romo. But anyway, that's a long. So, yes, and you won't believe the ones we picked for the Raiders. But anyway, that Nicholas.
Hey, push my button, sir.
Yeah, well, that's right. You're a Raiders guy. So
I'm a Raiders guy.
So
And a
that's
Steelers
what
guy.
we're doing. Oh man, multiple teams. What's wrong with you, man?
My dad's team is the Steelers. I'm a Raiders fan.
Gotcha. So that's what we got going on there, Nicholas, and I'm looking forward to all those shows.
Oh, I cannot wait. The fact that we're going to get the boys together and talk sports is going to be great. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. And the fact that we, once again, continue to have these great... Oh, I see Diva Martin. Diva, you better be there next week because this show is going to be great.
George Blanda.
I love George Blanda, but man, dude.
That made me laugh more than I've laughed all week.
He's better than Derek Carr. Just saying.
Okay, there you go. That's true.
Let's put Derek Carr on there, dude. I'm telling you.
Hey, Turk knows about some
Dan
football
Marino.
too. Hey, Turk, sub to Clobbering Times next Wednesday, 9 Central. We're gonna be at Clobbering's panel discussing old school real football. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, I mean it's the Mount Rushmore of every team. So in the history of the team, if you see the principle there. So yeah, and we're gonna comment on that.
Was there a football game this week yet?
They had one last night, but as you know, I've cast out the NFL. I gave it up.
I didn't watch it either.
I think Brady beat the Cowboys.
I still play fantasy football. That's the only thing
Bucks
I do.
Cowboys was last night, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Hey,
I have my 2 football fantasy teams, and I just had my draft the other day because we have our ones that you throw in your $20 a year, and it was awful that draft.
I had a horrible draft. Yeah.
I picked 3rd, and it was just awful.
Oh boy.
All right, Clobbering.
And I picked 3rd, which means I didn't have a year last year.
Oh, hey, thank you. We got one last plug-in we're gonna do because he's random as fuck like that. Mr. Fat Steven Skull, plug in your channel.
Dude,
Fat Steven.
that avatar, he doesn't deserve to plug anything. Dude, what's wrong with you?
Oh my God, I'm not going there with that language.
Hey, Clobbering.
Hey, buddy.
Just look deep into my Crisco and tell me everything's going to be okay.
Oh, you know I love
Well, it was the 27-hour live stream video game.
That was a
stream.
9.5-hour stream I just finished. It didn't even feel like 9.5 hours.
Jeebus.
Yeah, man, it was great. But the reason why this is happening right now is because I was on the Under Siege movie review this week.
Oh, yeah.
And Nick totally skipped over the guests to promote themselves. And then he's like, everyone have a good night. And then I'm like, yo, bro, what do I get to do anything? He's like, oh shit, I thought I already did. Like, no, you just had my link up there.
No, you know what it was? Nick told me he was replaying that cake video over and over, and he just totally slipped his mind.
Oh, we were on Gary Busey and May.
I think he was too He was too deep in the Kentucky bourbon or something there. I don't know what it was.
I don't even think he was deep in it. I think he's had like as an IV at this point. He's like, what's going on, man?
Hey, Fat Stevens, good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too. Even
So
though
plug
my
in.
face is falling
Plug
apart.
everything you got all up in us.
You got 10 minutes.
I got 10 minutes already. Hold on, I gotta do it right.
Plug it, baby.
I got it very good. Hold on. Rob Schneider woke up to realize he was Fat Steven Seagal. And Rob Schneider is Fat Steven Seagal. I can't do this no more. All right, I was doing this all night. I'm Fat Steven. Yeah, you can catch me on my channel. I do the co-host with the lunch table. We do gaming streams every day. I do a lot of games. Babylon 5 especially. We had Pat Tallman on 2 weeks ago. It was great. I want to invite her.
That was a great job.
I gotta get Clobber and Raquel on eventually for Babylon 5 because I know you guys are hitting it like a storm and she's loving it just like she loves Star Trek. Maybe a little bit different. But yeah, every Mondays, 4:30 p.m. Easterns. We're doing a lot of different stuff. The Battlefield release is coming up. Nick is a good guy. He deserves your sub. Clobber deserves as many awkward photos as you can do in Avatar. There's nothing wrong with him being like, I got merch. And he's like, hey, you want to pick the belly button out of my lint? I mean, lint out of my belly button? These guys are all great. They work like family. They work like friends. It's like you're going to a bar and they just invite you in, you share a beer and you shoot the shit. And that's what we've been missing the last 2 years. And like these guys bring it. Clobber and brings it with the Trek every night with his crew, Global Geek Gang, Nick Weiser making love to chicken burgers, hamburgers, pizza, whatever the fuck he's doing. He's doing it with Iron Maiden playing in the background. Thoth, who the fuck cares?
Nick, by the way, I
know where you live.
Nick, I forgot to mention my new videos that are up. So comic book Spinner Rack Time Machine.
Ooh.
I've never done videos until now.
I can't wait to see
that in there.
I'm drunk too.
3 of them really. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm very drunk.
So am I. I've had 3 740 milliliter cans of beer tonight. I'm afraid to stand up. All these guys are great. Thank you, Nick, for letting me come on. I didn't really even mean it. I was just fucking around.
Dude, you know I was not gonna pass up an opportunity to do this.
Glad to see you, brother.
I'm glad to see you too. You need to reach out more. We can do something, man. I'm free.
We're not done, Fat. Now that we're back in contact, we're not done.
I'm here everywhere. No, like I have you guys. Honestly, gaming. If it's retro game, let's fucking.
I was playing with you today. Yep, it was fun. Yeah.
Did it feel like 9 hours? In that stream, it didn't even feel like it. We had Jane Theory. Dude, it flew. I started at 2 p.m. Cool. We just ended it.
Yeah, because I came to sit down to this panel. I said, wait, and I always leave streams going when buddies are on just so you get that the views or whatever, And I'm like, wow, I watched the movie. And is that the same stream or is that a different stream? You're playing Fortnite again.
You got Scalabetus down in the corner, and we were like, all you hear is like me and Mongo going back and we're like, Rob Schneider now never used a stapler. Now he's a stapler. It was going on for it was like you guys were
I watched Jungle Cruise in between, which was very mediocre, very mediocre. The wife wanted to watch it.
Why are you relating my stream?
No, because I'm joking. It's like I went to watch a movie and then you were still going. Like I did in a movie, and I'm like, wow, they're still playing Fortnite. God bless them.
It was very mediocre, by the way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But Save Ginger's thought, I can't prop these guys up enough. Clobbern's been there for a while. He's a good man. As much as he might not see it, he is. All these guys are. All you guys in the chat are because these guys been having anyone to talk to. They just look like drunks talking to a void. So it's pretty fucking good. The hail to the chat, hail to Nick Weiser, and hail to everything to come that's past and will come again.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Well said, bud. Thank you, bud.
Now take your pants off.
They're off already.
Who said I had pants on?
Wait, we're supposed to have pants? So
you can have shorts on. You can have shorts.
I had one more thing. And hail to Bruce Lombardo. I'm glad to see you.
Oh, I know, right? I'm so glad he's back.
And Mark is right. He has a memory problem. Most of the times he's trying to put comic books on his pants while he's trying to put his pants in the sleeves of comic books. So it's really hard. I mean, where's the cat? Oh, shit. Did I vacuum seal it again?
Oh, shit.
And Babylon 5, the greatest science fiction series of all time.
Woo!
I can get Straczynski on. I will die a happy man.
Sure.
All right, guys. This has been awesome. Turk Longwell, thank you for not only, once again, I had to give Turk Longwell the fact that he saw us short and subscribed and watched the live stream. Thank you, Turk Longwell. And for
Thank you,
tipping,
sir.
by the way. You had every right to not do that, but you did anyway. Yet here you are. Thank you. Toxic Tuesday, this coming Tuesday night, will be Big Trouble in Little China. The next night, me and Clobbering Time, Stone Loki, and hopefully a few other fine gentlemen will be talking old school NFL. That's going to be great. It's going to be glorious. I mean, when NFL was NFL and not fucking tag
Real
football.
deal NFL.
Yes, it's
wait.
going to be great.
I have a question. I have a question, Nick.
What?
When are you guys going to be covering the Victoria's Secret football, and when can I be there just to Google the pictures?
We won't let
No,
you miss that one. I
what?
promise you.
They have Victoria's
No.
Secret's football again?
They
Yeah.
had lingerie football. You guys don't remember that?
Oh, I know
Yeah, I
lingerie, but
remember.
not Victoria's Secret. Yeah.
Good night, Steve
Lingerie.
Mitchum.
I
Good
thought
night,
they
Bud
canceled
Martin.
Victoria's Secrets because of the
I
male
don't care.
gaze.
They're
Good
still
night to
good.
Turk Longwell. Guys,
Night, Turk.
we're going to close out with our
Night,
final
everyone.
song that we all do. Na, 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 na,